Chapter 736. Whoosh! Immediately there was a buzzing sound. Chun Hao released his keen perception, and a look of surprise appeared in his eyes. It wasn't that there was no one in the city, but that everyone had gathered at the core. The reason why he hadn't heard anything before entering was because there had been a brief moment of silence just now. When he was outside the city, he couldn't sense it because of the city's protective light. Who the hell is this person? He's too arrogant. He's not arrogant, he's too strong and ruthless. I've never heard of such a person before. Could it be he's not from the human race? How is that possible? The aura of the human race can't be faked. Although the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing have concealed the aura of the token, it's obviously his real body, and he's indeed the most orthodox cultivator of the human race. Don't forget about the tyrants. The tyrants encompass the 9 major races of the 10 major galaxies. This person might be from the tyrants. Chun Hao, who originally wanted to show up in his real body, changed his mind at the last minute. He restrained his aura again, and at the same time his appearance changed drastically. He became a hunchbacked old man with the appearance of a granddad. He put the 2 holy weapon swords back into their sheaths and wrapped them up tightly again. He quietly and quickly came to the huge martial arts arena at the core of the city. Countless cultivators were densely packed inside, and their eyes were fixed on the center of the martial arts arena. They were all looking at the arrogant young man with a wild aura around him. "Brother, what's going on?" Chun Hao walked to the side of a young cultivator and asked in a low voice. "You just came in? TSK, what a big bag. Old man, you're really something. There are so many good things in the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing, and you want to take them all? Just throw away the trash, lest you suffer an unexpected disaster. I don't want to criticize you, but although you old people don't have much of a future, you can't joke about your life. If your aura was stronger, I'm afraid you wouldn't even know how you died." "Ahem, you're right, brother. I only dare to do this because my talent and strength are poor. Although they're all trash, they'll be valuable in our vast universe galaxy. This person's aura is so strong." Chun Hao changed the topic and looked at the young man in the center of the martial arts arena with yearning eyes. "Yeah, he's ridiculously strong. No one knew where this guy came from, but he had single-handedly seized the core palace of this city. A month ago, he had even obtained the inheritance of the core palace. Then he set up a challenge ring here. He's extremely arrogant. However, he does have the strength to be arrogant." Previously, there was a heavenly immortal expert who was ranked high in the divine temple, but he didn't dare to fight. Does no one know who he is? No one knows him. If you want to know his name, you have to withstand 5 moves from him. But until now, no one has been able to withstand his attacks. Some people suspect that he's a top expert from the tyrants, but I don't think so. Otherwise, it's impossible for him to not kill anyone, and only defeat them with heavy injuries. Not bad. I think he should be the disciple of a hidden expert of our human race. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so monstrous. At that moment, a cultivator beside the young man chimed in. 5 moves. 5 moves to obtain an ancient supreme-grade numinous treasure. It's a pity that no one has been able to obtain it until now. A supreme-grade numinous treasure. How great would it be if I could obtain one for my grandson? The old man named Chun Hao Grandet had a strong desire on his face as he swallowed his saliva and said, "Haha. Old man, don't even think about it. You're already so old. Don't even talk about 5 moves. You'll fall apart in 1 move." Chi. Suddenly, a bone-chilling feeling descended upon them. The young man who originally wanted to say something immediately shut his mouth. Everyone, including Chun Hao, realized that the young man who was emitting a wild aura at the center of the martial arts practice field was actually looking in their direction. Oh no! When everyone's eyes turned to the 2 young men and Chun Hao, the 2 young men's faces turned extremely ugly. They hurriedly said, "We didn't say we wanted to fight. This old man just arrived and doesn't know the situation. He only heard about the supreme-grade numinous treasure and wanted to give it to his grandson. We didn't want to fight." The young man who was the first to speak to Chun Hao said nervously. As he spoke, he used his hand to tug at Chun Hao, indicating for Chun Hao to express his attitude. "Brother, what do you mean?" Chun Hao asked in a low voice, looking confused. He heard you drooling over the supreme-grade numinous treasure. Hurry up and say you don't want to fight. The young man had no choice but to remind him. He was also depressed that he did not remind the old man earlier. As a result, when the old man spoke, he did not suppress his voice at all. Didn't you just say he doesn't kill people? I really want to get a supreme-grade numinous treasure for my grandson. You're already so old. Forget it. Anyway, you won't die. This elixir is for you. After the fight, quickly swallow it to heal your injuries. The young man was angered by the old man in front of him. Originally, he did not think much of the old man with such poor talent and aura. The reason why he spoke up for Chun Hao was because he was moved by Chun Hao's words about getting a supreme-grade numinous treasure for his grandson. He did not want such an old man to be seriously injured. However, he did not expect the old man to be so persistent. This made him angry and moved. This was because it made him think of his grandfather. He was young, and the cultivation he had today was the result of his grandfather sacrificing everything for him. Ha ha ha. Old man, come on up. Don't worry, I'll go easy on you. The young man in the center of the arena laughed excitedly at this moment, his fighting spirit rising around him. This made the surrounding cultivators speechless. Such a weak old man, do you have to go so far? However, no matter who the opponent was, as long as it was on the arena, he would be so excited. This was a natural battle maniac. It was as if any battle could make him excited. What's your name? Unexpectedly, the old man did not take the young man's elixir, nor did he challenge him directly. Instead, he looked at the young man beside him and asked, "Don't care what my name is. Take it, you old man. Do you think your grandson will be happy to do this? There's no danger to his life this time. But what if he dies? Perhaps, your grandson only wants his grandfather to live. To live, you know?" As the young man spoke, he stuffed the elixir into Chun Hao's hand. However, he still could not control his emotions, and his eyes actually glistened. "Brother Mo, this is the healing elixir that we risked our lives to obtain. You're only going overboard with 2 elixirs, and you're actually giving it to him?" The young man beside him said in surprise. "Hurry up, old man, hurry up," the wild young man urged. "Surnamed Mo? What a coincidence." Hearing the words of the young man beside him, Chun Hao was slightly surprised and thought to himself. He looked at the young man who gave him the elixir with a strange expression and said, "I'll take this elixir." After Chun Hao finished speaking, he carried the huge bag and quickly walked to the center of the arena. The crowd had already parted to form a long and narrow path, watching this thin and stooped old man. Chapter 737. This old man is quite pitiful. Pitiful, my ass. He must have been blinded by greed. With such a big bag, he must have been picking up trash. He didn't even let go of any trash. Don't say that. He has already exhausted his talent. It is already not easy for him to obtain the qualifications to enter the primal mystic realm. He knows that there is no room for improvement, so he naturally wants to bring more things back. Although it is trash here, it will be valuable when he returns. In order to get an ancient top-grade spirit treasure for his grandson, he dares to fight with such a fierce person. His courage is commendable. An ancient top-grade spirit treasure was not something that the top-grade spirit treasures of the vast universe star system could compare with. In the outside world, it was possible to exchange it for a lower-grade saint artifact. That was a treasure that most cultivators would never be able to obtain in their lifetime. "Old man, what is your name? What sect are you from? Tell me. Once we step out of the primal mystic realm, I will give you an ancient top-grade spirit treasure. Don't go up and fight. There is no hope. Believe me, I am a man of my word. Giving it to you now will only bring you disaster. So, I can only give it to you after we leave." When Chun Hao saw that he was about to reach the core, a female cultivator beside him suddenly pulled on Chun Hao's arm and whispered to him. After Chun Hao changed his body shape, he was small and skinny. The young girl was half a head taller than him. Just by looking sideways, he could see the young girl's full breasts. On her breasts, there was the symbol of a temple disciple. "Thank you, young miss. I think I should get it myself. I don't deserve it." Chun Hao said a little awkwardly. He had disguised himself as an old man because his bag was too big and eye-catching. Only by doing so would people think that he was an old man cultivator who came in to pick up trash. He had originally just wanted to watch the show. He did not expect that his casual words that matched his current status would attract the attention of the wild cultivator at the core of the martial arts practice field. Since that was the case, and the other party had placed a huge bag at the core of the martial arts practice field, Chen Hao was a little tempted. Then let's fight. A meat pie had fallen from the sky. If he didn't accept it, he would be punished by the heavens. But Chen Hao did not expect that his words of "doing it for my grandson" would cause the youth, who had taken the initiative to greet him because of his figure and appearance, to be moved to the point of tears. He even gave him an ancient healing elixir. He also did not expect that this female disciple of the divine temple would give him an ancient supreme-grade spirit treasure. This made Chen Hao very surprised. Since when were there so many good people in the world of cultivation? Old man, listen to me. Not to mention that you have no hope of taking 5 of his moves. Even if you do, can you keep the supreme-grade spirit treasure? The girl frowned slightly when she heard Chen Hao's words, but she didn't give up. She pulled on Chen Hao again, lowered her head, and said with concern, Actually, I'm not as weak as you think. Thank you. Hiss. Chen Hao once again broke free from the girl's grasp. His figure flickered, and although his aura was still so weak, it was as if he had disappeared into thin air, leaving behind an afterimage. In an instant, he had crossed 1,000 feet. Crash. Ah. What? It can't be. I actually misjudged him. The female disciple from the divine temple muttered to herself, as she looked at the skinny and hunched figure of Chen Hao. The young man with the surname Mo, who had given Chen Hao the pill earlier, also widened his eyes in shock. Such speed. Could it be that he's hiding his aura? That's impossible. Under the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing, anyone would be able to tell if he's hiding his aura. How could there be no flaws? Could it be that he's faking his appearance as well? At this moment, everyone was dumbfounded. No one would have thought that this weak-looking old man was actually an expert. Ah, that's great. Old man, it seems like you're the kind of person who likes to pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger. Why don't you show me your true appearance? The wild young man at the center of the training ground was also slightly taken aback, but soon after, he became even more excited. If you take 5 of my moves, I'll tell you my surname. If you take 10 of my moves, I'll tell you my name. If you can defeat me, everything in my bag will be yours. Of course, if you lose, everything that's yours will also be mine. To everyone's surprise, the skinny and hunched old man said something even more arrogant than the wild young man. Ha ha ha. Interesting. I can't see anything special about you. It seems like your soul energy has reached a terrifying level. Even I can't compare to you. This kind of battle is more interesting. I accept your challenge. This is the rule that I set up in the arena. As for your bag, forget it. If I lose, I'll give it to you. If you lose, you don't have to give it to me. You're looking down on my things. Chen Hao said calmly. Buzz. As he spoke, the long spear that was carrying a bundle had an ugly appearance, and only had the aura of an ancient upper-grade spiritual weapon. It was not even a soul treasure. Suddenly, it let out a trembling sound and immediately shone with a bright golden light. Ancient holy artifact? Everyone was in an uproar. The young girl and the young man who had helped Chen Hao were sweating in their hearts. The long spear that they used as a fire stick was actually a holy artifact. The young man gave Chen Hao elixirs, and the young girl promised to give Chen Hao an ancient top-grade spiritual artifact. They were afraid that this old man would not even care about them. How could that huge bag be filled with trash? Not only did this old man hide his aura without any flaws, he could even hide the aura of an ancient holy artifact spear. It's just a holy artifact. I said that I don't care about it, so I don't care about it. It's just a worldly possession. Let me show you mine. The wild young man originally did not mean to look down on Chen Hao. He was indeed not interested in magic treasures. However, he did not expect that he would be looked down on by his opponent. At this time, seeing that the fire stick in his opponent's bag was actually an ancient holy artifact, it also aroused his hidden competitive spirit. Voila! As the young man spoke, he shook his hand and threw his huge bag on the ground. Suddenly, a bright light rose up and a strong murderous aura, pressure, and treasure aura soared into the sky. Oh my God! This can't be real, right? How can a person have so many treasures? They had long known that this wild young man had many treasures. However, seeing it with their own eyes still blinded many people. There were 4 ancient holy artifacts, 30 to 40 ancient top-grade spiritual artifacts, and many unique jade slips. The precious materials were definitely not inferior to the ancient holy artifacts. When the wild young man heard the exclamations of the surrounding cultivators, there was a trace of pride on his face as he stared at Chen Hao and said, "Is it better than mine?" Just when everyone thought that Chen Hao would also take out the treasures in his bag, Chen Hao smiled and said, "What a child. Not bad. These treasures are still worthy of my attention. It's worth fighting with you." "What did you say?" "Old man, if you can't win, just say so. Why are you so thick-skinned?" Chapter 738. Can't win? I'm giving you some face. Since you said so, I'll show you. Look carefully. I'm just casually picking out a few items from the surface. It'll save me some trouble to pack them up. Chi 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 chi. As Chen Hao spoke, he casually opened the bag and pulled it down, revealing a few treasures. Under the watchful eyes of the crowd, he casually picked out 5 or 6 items. Every one of them looked like trash. But with a wave of Chen Hao's hand, their real aura instantly bloomed. Every one of them was a divine artifact. Do you still want to take more? Cough cough. No need. You can only say that you're lucky to have so many treasures. What we're competing on is strength. But, according to what you said earlier, if I win, what's yours is mine. That's how I look up to you. And that's how it is. The wild youth was extremely shocked in his heart. He could have so many treasures because he had killed countless foreign experts. However, Chen Hao's bag wasn't any smaller than his, and the few items he casually took out from it were all saint artifacts. Fuck, this was too abnormal. What was there to compete with? At the same time, the wild youth wasn't as confident as before. Thus he very shamelessly changed his promise. Shoo, the crowd erupted into a wave of boos. What are you shouting for? Who wouldn't be tempted by this old man's treasures? I'm tempted. What's wrong? The wild youth's face was a little red, but he said bluntly, releasing a terrifying aura. Everywhere his gaze passed, there was a dead silence. Pack it up for me first. Chen Hao said. And what? Pack it up for you? The wild youth originally responded, but immediately glared angrily at Chen Hao and said, What's the use of staring? It'll be mine in a while. Old man, you're really boasting shamelessly. Stop talking nonsense, let's fight. Young people are so narrow-minded. Fine, since it's destined to be mine, then I'll pack it up myself. Fuck. Don't touch mine, I'll pack it up myself. Chi chi chi. The wild youth finally realized that talking to this old ghost was too shameless. Therefore, he decisively picked up the treasures on the ground and threw them next to Chen Hao's bag with a bang, saying, Put them together. In any case, they'll be mine in the end. Boom. After saying that, he violently gathered his energy, and a terrifying pressure directly enveloped Chen Hao. Obviously, he didn't want to talk nonsense with Chen Hao anymore. He didn't want to be angered to death before the battle even started. Bang! At this moment, Chen Hao also took a step forward. His stooped figure instantly straightened like a sword, and his essence, qi, and spirit soared into the sky. His original weakness and age disappeared in an instant, as if he was an unsheathed sword. Step back. Retreat if you don't want to die. Crash. There was no need for Chen Hao and the wild young man to say anything as the surrounding cultivators began to retreat. This was definitely a showdown between top-notch experts. Getting too close to them would be courting death. Thump 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 huff. Roar. The wild young man's eyes suddenly turned scarlet, and the tendons, bones, muscles, and blood all over his body began to boil, making terrifying cracking sounds. In an instant, a fierce wind rose, and a vast and majestic qi of blood was released. As he roared, the roar of an ancient primeval beast automatically reverberated. Boom boom boom. At this moment, a phenomenon that made everyone gasp appeared. The air within a radius of several hundred feet was continuously exploding because of the wild young man's aura. His black hair danced wildly, his clothes fluttered, and his eyes were scarlet, as if an ancient ferocious beast had arrived. Is this his real strength? It's too terrifying. No wonder all the experts in the heaven celestial stage chose to avoid him. I'm afraid that old man is no match for him, right? The contrast brought about by the old man pretending to be a pig to eat a tiger, as well as the fact that he revealed more and more powerful magical treasures, originally made many cultivators think that the old man must be an extremely terrifying expert. In particular, his confident performance and relaxed appearance gave people the feeling that he was certain to defeat the wild young man. But now the wild young man's aura made everyone no longer so sure. This physical body is too abnormal. Since when did the human race have such a terrifying bloodline? This aura. Could he be from there? In the crowd, several experienced and knowledgeable cultivators looked at the wild young man in a different light. It must be. I should have thought of it earlier. Only someone from that place could have such a strong physical body. Huff. Huff, boom, boom, boom. The wild young man's powerful aura pressed down on Chen Hao, causing strong gales and air explosions around Chen Hao. But what was shocking was that the skinny old man allowed the strong gales to hit him in the face, and his aura did not change at all. Even his Taoist robe did not move at all. He is indeed very strong. This is really abnormal. Such physical strength. If I had not been refined by the blood essence of hundreds of divine beasts, I'm afraid there would be a big gap between me and him. Chen Hao, whose appearance did not change at all, narrowed his eyes. How could he be so strong? The wild young man stared at Chen Hao and was also shocked. If Chen Hao had violently gathered his aura to resist, it would have been fine. But Chen Hao's aura was condensed on his body, and it was limited by his Taoist robe, so it did not leak out at all. To be able to do this, it was definitely not something an ordinary cultivator could do. Old man, now I am very curious about who you are. Come on, take my punch. The wild young man finally could not help but take the initiative to attack. Boom. With a punch, the space shook and the sky changed color. It was so vast that it was as if mountains were collapsing and rivers were surging. The fist shadow contained the aura of ancient fierce beasts, and it rumbled toward Chen Hao. All the onlookers' faces changed dramatically. This punch was too terrifying. This wild young man had been in the arena for a month, but he had never shown such terrifying strength. Many of the experts present felt that if they were to take this punch, they would immediately become minced meat. I will fight with you with my physical body. Chen Hao's eyes suddenly emitted a scorching light, and his skinny figure stepped out with a bang. Pitter-patter. Chen Hao took a bow, spun his waist, and threw a punch. Along with Chen Hao's rhythmic movements, clear cracking sounds came from his thin and small body. Roar! At the same time, Chen Hao's roar, as the strength of his physical body condensed, he let out a long roar that tore through the sky. The roar shook the 9 heavens, and the fist turned into a dragon. Boom. Rumble. Many onlookers' ears were ringing, and their minds were trembling. They stared in horror at the violent collision of strength that was as powerful as the collapse of mountains. Good. The first move. Bang. The wild young man bent his body and took a step forward, shooting toward Chen Hao. His body was like a bow, and his fist was like an arrow. The fist shadows were heavy, and the fist momentum was overwhelming. In the face of such a powerful and violent attack, Chen Hao did not retreat. Instead, he advanced. The same moves, the same punches, the same speed, and the same frequency. Their fists met. Boom, 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 boom. All the spectating cultivators were dumbfounded. The wild young man's physical strength was monstrous, and they had long seen it. However, this frail, skinny old man's physical strength was not inferior at all. He was not at a disadvantage at all as he exchanged blows with the old man's fists. One had to know that each of his fists had the power to destroy mountains and rivers. If you like this work, you are welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 739. Your physical body can match mine? The wild youth was shocked at the center of the collision. His fist was aching faintly. The thin old man in front of him had an aura that was even more similar to that of an ancient vicious beast. 5 moves have passed. Old man, what's your surname? The wild youth asked as he punched. He was getting more and more curious about Chen Hao's identity. According to the patriarch, within the vast universe galaxy, there was absolutely no one at the same boundary that could contend with his mortal body. Although the old man in front of him had used some unknown method to hide his real aura, since he was an old man who had entered the primitive mystic realm, he should be at the peak of the advanced Earth celestial stage. It was unlikely that he had become a heaven celestial by chance. After all, he was an old man. If he had not broken through after so many years, it must be a problem with his understanding, not his skills. How rude. Don't you know how to introduce yourself before asking me? Okay, old man, you are very powerful. We won't be able to determine the winner within 10 moves. Why don't you tell me everything? Listen carefully. I am a disciple of the Manhuang tribe, Coiling Dragon. Boom boom boom. Coiling Dragon of the Manhuang tribe? What a domineering name. What kind of tribe is the Manhuang tribe? Why haven't I heard of it before? Chen Hao didn't hesitate in the slightest as he asked this question with ease. You old man. I don't know if it's because you are ignorant or because the Manhuang tribe hasn't appeared for 10,000 years that you have forgotten. Cut the crap, tell me who are you? Don't be so thick-skinned as to hide your real identity. Boom boom boom. Coiling Dragon seemed to have infinite strength, and his attacks were even more ferocious. My surname is Chun. As for my name, let's see if you can last 10 moves. Dragon subduing palm. Fuck. I'm the Chun Fist of Destruction. Roar. Roar boom boom, boom. Chen Hao slapped out with his palm and 18 gigantic blood-colored dragons gushed out from his boundless blood chi. The roars of the dragons howled, and the shadows of the dragons overlapped. This was a dragon subduing palm that did not contain any true core strength. It was completely formed by his blood chi. Since Chen Hao wanted to defeat his opponent with his physical body, he would not use any true core strength. Under the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing, it was not easy to use runes to increase one's strength. However, this martial arts technique from Earth could release even more power. What? Coiling Dragon's scarlet eyes narrowed. He hadn't expected Chen Hao's so-called dragon subduing palm to be real. Moreover, that terrifying power had increased by several times in an instant. This made him feel immense pressure. He really hadn't expected the old man to be so strong. Barbarian God technique. Boom. Not daring to hesitate, Pan Long immediately used the secret technique of the Manhuang tribe. His body emitted a dazzling golden light. He, who was already tall to begin with, suddenly grew 3 times bigger. He was like a Manhuang giant. His fist, which was the size of a small mountain, punched out with a force that could topple mountains and overturn seas. Bang bang bang, rumble. When the fist and palm met, it was as if the sky was about to collapse from this terrifying energy. Chen Hao and Pan Long were sent flying at the same time. What a terrifying secret technique. He's actually so strong. The muscles and bones in their bodies felt like they were about to shatter. Both of them were overwhelmed with shock. 10 moves have passed. Old man, say your name. Coiling Dragon wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and said with vigor. However, he did not attack immediately. Who is he? His surname is Chen Hao. Could he be Chen Hao? It is said that his physical body is extremely strong. That's not very possible. Although Chen Hao is very strong, how would he dare to show himself now? Many experts of the heaven celestial stage are chasing after him. Hiss hiss hiss. Just as the crowd was discussing animatedly, Pan Long stared at Chen Hao and waited for his answer. Suddenly, dense waves of energy spread out from Chen Hao's body. His originally small and thin body gradually grew taller. His face and body emitted cracking sounds as he transformed into a tall and slender figure in an instant. His wrinkled old face smoothed out, and an extraordinarily handsome and angular young face appeared before everyone's eyes. Ah! Chen Hao. He's Chen Hao. It's really Chen Hao? No wonder he's so strong. Amazing too amazing. Is he Chen Hao? At this moment, all the cultivators were in an uproar. Even if some of them thought of Chen Hao, they would simply deny it. This was because no one thought that Chen Hao would dare to show himself. After all, The news of him possessing the Tao manifestation celestial fruit, and being pursued by Humanyang and other experts of the heaven celestial stage had long spread. How would he dare to show himself in the city? Even if he did show himself, he would continue to hide. However now, Chen Hao had revealed his true identity. Fuck. You're that Chen Hao? How dare you say my name is domineering? You even dare to fuck the heavens. Fuck. Ah. I've heard about you a long time ago, and I've wanted to fight with you for a long time. I didn't expect you to be even stronger than the rumors say, Pan Long said excitedly. The battle intent around him became even more intense. You should cultivate for a few more years. Now, you're looking for a beating. Hiss, Chen Hao said arrogantly. As he spoke, his body moved without wind, and his black hair danced in the wind. A wave of earth-shattering pressure suddenly pressed down on Pan Long. Pan Long wanted to say something, but he forcibly shut his mouth. Spiritual pressure. The power from the soul. At this moment, Pan Long finally remembered that Chen Hao had been fighting with his physical strength from the beginning until now. He did not even use a trace of his soul power. Since it's yours, I won't hold back. However, I can give you a good fortune. Whether you dare to go and obtain it or not depends on you. Hiss. As he spoke, 2 milky white balls of light flew out from between Chen Hao's eyebrows and floated in front of Pan Long. What do you mean? Pan Long did not understand. If you succeed, return them to me. If you fail, you'll die. Consider it my bad luck. Why don't you dare to accept it? Chen Hao said with a raised eyebrow. Why wouldn't I dare? Pan Long's mind sensed the 2 milky white balls of information that did not contain any destructive power. Hiss. Pan Long directly absorbed the milky white balls of light into between his eyebrows. Then he looked at Chen Hao in shock. Don't force open the second door. It's just a token. Perhaps it'll be useful. Chen Hao finished speaking and tied Pan Long's bag to his own bag. Then he raised his golden spear and slowly walked out without saying anything else. Rumble. Many thanks. Pan Long's body shot up into the sky like a cannonball. When his voice was heard, he was already hundreds of feet away. The onlookers stared blankly. They did not understand what Chen Hao had transmitted to Pan Long. They also did not understand why Pan Long, a battle maniac, would leave. He had not lost yet. The reason was that apart from Pan Long, no one else had felt Chen Hao's terrifying spiritual pressure. Chen Hao had only directed it at Pan Long. Of course, this was not the reason why Pan Long did not want to fight. What really made Pan Long leave was the 2 memories that Chen Hao had transmitted to him. One of them was the information that Chen Hao had given him, and the other was the divine will transmitted to him by the old man who had an extremely strong physical body. In the unseen world, karma and fate intertwined. Although Chen Hao did not receive the inheritance from the old man, he still received great benefits. When he found Pan Long, Chen Hao's sharp soul perception knew that this guy was very suitable for the inheritance. Since he had found Pan Long, it was only right that he guide the old man to him. After all, the Divine Will Phantom had said that he did not have much energy. Wherever Chen Hao passed, the gossiping crowd shut their mouths. Their eyes were filled with shock and admiration for the strong, and they all made way. Faced with the gazes of countless people, Chen Hao was calm and collected. The female disciple who had previously said that she would give Chen Hao an ancient supreme-grade spirit treasure smiled awkwardly when she saw Chen Hao looking at her. Here you go. Chen Hao also smiled and nodded. He directly took out an ancient holy sword and handed it to the female disciple. Thank you, but I can't accept it. I only sympathize with that old man. Besides, I didn't help you at all. Why are you like this? The girl refused. However, Chen Hao did not listen at all. He directly stuffed the sword into her hands and turned to leave. Just think of it as the old man repaying your kindness. Kindness will be rewarded with kindness, Chen Hao said without turning his head. Fuck. I should have said something. If I had known, I might have also said something. Maybe I could have gotten an ancient holy weapon. It's an ancient holy weapon, and he gave it away just like that? This female disciple is quite pretty. Could Chen Hao have taken a fancy to her? How is that possible? It's said that Chen Hao's partners are all devastatingly beautiful, and they are all disciples of the divine temple. Each one is more powerful than the other. Back then, a powerful person like Moling Takshu was killed by one of his partners. It's just repaying his kindness. Otherwise, he wouldn't have not even asked for her name. Ancient holy weapon. Leader, we might. Hiss. Chun Hao, who was slowly walking forward, suddenly turned around. His sharp eyes were like two sharp swords that shot directly at the cultivator who had bad intentions. Plop. Without any suspense, the cultivator who had been whispering just now felt his knees go soft. Unable to withstand the terrifying pressure, he fell to the ground. Other than her, no matter who is holding this sword, Chun Hao will kill them. Chun Hao said coldly. Just one sentence was enough to make all the cultivators fall silent. Some of the cultivators who had some thoughts about it immediately erased those thoughts. Originally, they wanted to get this holy weapon from this female disciple, but they did not dare to snatch it openly. They could only use underhanded methods to get it in their hands. However, Chun Hao's words clearly told them that he ignored any rules. Even if you picked up this sword and used it, you would still be killed. If other people said this, not many would believe it. However, Chun Hao was different. He was a lunatic. There was nothing he did not dare to do. This was everyone's understanding of Chun Hao. So domineering. The female disciple looked at Chun Hao's cold expression and thought to herself. Chapter 740. The female disciple had rejected Chun Hao's primordial holy weapon for two reasons. First, she was just saying it. Although it was not a lie, it had not been realized yet. How could she accept it? Secondly, accepting Chun Hao's primordial sacred artifact in front of so many people was an absolutely unbearable test for her strength. It was just like how she had only promised to give the old man primordial supreme-grade spiritual treasures when she got out. But now, she might lose her life because of it. But now, with the primordial holy weapon in her hands and Chun Hao's arrogant declaration, she could no longer summon the courage to refuse such a huge temptation. Brother, keep the pill for yourself. Your surname is Mo. May I know your name? Chun Hao once again walked in front of the youth with the surname Mo and asked. Ahem. The young man coughed awkwardly. I'm Mo Wu, a direct disciple of the Ink Sword sect on the Asian Ing planet. I didn't expect you to be Chun Hao. If you need anything in the future, you can look for me. Chun Hao said. His gaze seemed casual, but his mind was carefully sizing up Mo Wu. Then, without another word, he picked up his bag and walked toward the palace. He's leaving just like that? That's right. Chun Hao gave that female disciple an ancient era's sacred artifact sword just because she said so. That brat also gave her a pill. Although it can't compare to the ancient era's supreme-grade spiritual treasure that female disciple promised, he should at least give her something. What do you know? Didn't you hear Chun Hao ask for the young man's name, and promise to look for him in the future? That's much better than giving something. That's right. Although he gave the primordial holy weapon to that female disciple, he didn't even ask for her name. Clearly, he's drawing a line. But he wants to make friends with this young man. Chun Hao ignored the discussions of the crowd and went straight to the core palace that had already been opened. It was currently empty, and there was no pressure at all. Clearly, the treasures and legacies had all been taken by Panlong. Chun Hao had only come here to find a secluded place to meditate and wait for the opening of the 7th Forbidden Zone. Chun Hao's lips curled into a smile as he slowly sat down cross-legged and began meditating. The disciples of the Black Sword sect on the Yaing planet should have something to do with Xiaoma's background. By the time I stepped out of the primitive mystic realm, my little brother, sister, and Xiaoma should have already entered the Yaing planet, right? When Chun Hao saw Mo Wu, he felt that Mo Wu's aura was similar to that of his first little brother, Mo Yui. The two also looked similar. That was why he had spoken to Mo Wu. However, Chun Hao didn't seek further confirmation for the time being. His intuition told him that Mo Yui's origins definitely concealed some sort of secret. If it's really related to the direct line of descent of the Black Sword sect, then why would he be stranded on a barren planet like Limitless Star? And even in the mortal world? Whether it was good or bad, he could only wait until he saw Mo Yui again to find a way to verify it. Half a month later, the 7th Forbidden Zone finally opened. the palace disappeared, and Chen Hao, who had been meditating, opened his bright eyes. He picked up 2 huge bags and disappeared into the wilderness. A month later, Chen Hao was the first to step into a forbidden city in the 7th Forbidden Zone. He occupied the core palace. After that, countless cultivators poured into the city. Many foreign race cultivators also arrived in the city one after another. However, because the number of foreign race cultivators was far less than the number of human cultivators, as soon as they entered and saw the situation, they all covered their heads and fled like rats. Even so, they were chased down by human experts and suffered many casualties. At the same time, when they discovered that Chen Hao had occupied the core palace, no one dared to provoke him. However, a few days later, a celestial immortal cultivator arrived and broke the silence. But the result was, the celestial immortal cultivator failed to steal the treasure, and was killed by Chen Hao instead. Chen Hao's reputation rose again. 3 months later, Chen Hao had completely comprehended the 7th Forbidden Zone, and entered the core palace. At this time, the news about Chen Hao had spread in the nearby cities. However, after learning that Chen Hao had defeated a powerful disciple of the Manhuang tribe, and killed a celestial immortal cultivator and his followers, no one came to provoke him. It seemed that they were all shocked by Chen Hao's terrifying combat power and his reckless hunting. Chen Shui and the others in the other cities also easily obtained news of Chen Hao from the discussions of the cultivators. While they were all relieved, they were also surprised by Chen Hao's battle prowess. When they parted, Chen Hao had left because he couldn't compete with a celestial immortal cultivator. But now he was so high profile and didn't hide himself. He even had the ability to kill a celestial immortal cultivator. This was the 7th Forbidden Zone. As one's comprehension of the 9 Forbidden Zone increased, the laws of the divine ability would become more and more complete, and the advantage of physical strength would become smaller and smaller. But Chen Hao could kill a celestial immortal. At the same time, a large-scale galactic war broke out in the cities of the 7th Forbidden Zone. Countless cultivators died. Everyone knew that as they drew closer and closer to the core area, large-scale battles between the outsider races would definitely erupt. This also made the cultivators of the major galaxies form larger and larger teams. 1,000 people was the smallest scale. Teams of 10,000 people could be seen everywhere. However, under the 9 Forbidden Zone, the tokens of the cultivators of the major galaxies were all ineffective. They couldn't use the tokens to give orders and form a truly unified army. The 7th Forbidden Zone only took half a year to obtain all the core palaces in all the cities. The reason it was so fast was that the number of cities was rapidly decreasing. Those who could obtain the core palaces were basically super geniuses. There were almost no people who could compete for the rights to the core palaces. Secondly, as the cultivators broke through the 9 Forbidden Zone layer by layer, their control became more and more comprehensive, and their experience became richer and richer. The speed of their comprehension also became faster and faster. During the 8th and 9th Forbidden Zone, the war between the 10 major galaxies became even more intense and terrifying. Apart from the absolute recluses of the major galaxies, no one dared to travel alone. They all formed huge teams. The few cities that were available led to the competition for the core palaces, which almost evolved into a galactic war. In the clash between Earth immortals, the vast universe galaxy, which had always been at the bottom, was actually not inferior to any of the other galaxies. This was because the top human cultivators, and because Chen Hao had produced dozens of celestial immortals. This time, Chen Hao was still alone. He didn't join any teams, but he still managed to obtain one of the core palaces of the 8th and 9th Forbidden Zone. He also received the title of God of Slaughter. Countless alien tribe geniuses had fallen at his hands. Whenever the alien tribe was involved in a battle, he would kill his way through. Blood would stain his long spear, and he would drink the blood of countless alien tribes. After driving the alien tribe teams out of the city, Chen Hao occupied the core palaces. No matter how many teams there were, the human race didn't dare to compete with him alone. Especially after seeing how Chen Hao took the head of the leader of the alien tribe team. As if there was no one there, they didn't dare to do so. Of course, apart from that, most people were still in awe of Chen Hao. He was a god of slaughter, but he was also the hero of the vast universe galaxy. Without Chun Hao, who knew how many human cultivators would have fallen in the war between the alien tribes. Similarly, the dozens of celestial immortals of the human race also performed amazingly, and they had countless followers. Apart from the dozens of celestial immortals, the most dazzling team was the one formed by Chen Shui, Long Ting, the sisters, and the others. The four women's amazing combat power won them countless followers. The 8th hex only took half a year. At this moment, Chun Hao had killed all the alien tribes in the city he was in. After Chun Hao had killed all the alien tribes, he entered the core palaces. He's too strong. Chun Hao killed 10 leaders of the alien tribe teams by himself. He must have killed thousands of alien tribe members as well, right? Just his contribution points alone must be a shocking number. If only I could have 1,000th of his contribution points. Stop dreaming. Chun Hao is definitely the #1 expert of the human race now. No, he should be the #1 expert of the 10 major galaxies, who entered the primitive secret realm. One man and one spear, no matter how many alien tribes there were. He was invincible. Who can compare to him? Let alone 1,000th of his contribution points, even 1,000th of his contribution points would be enough. At this moment, a powerful cultivator smiled and said, his days of being arrogant are coming to an end. What do you mean? Do you think there's anyone who can fight Chun Hao? Are you talking about Hu Meinyang? Of course not now. But once the 9th hex is broken, any one of the 47 heavenly celestial stage elites would be able to defeat Chun Hao, let alone Hu Meinyang. Moreover what? When the others heard the cultivator's words, they thought for a while and asked. It won't take long for me to kill him. I believe that once I step out of the 9 restrictions and enter the core palaces, I will be able to trigger the heavenly punishment and become a heavenly celestial. Without the restraint of the 9 seals of immortal sealing. What was Chun Hao? He's just a cultivator in the middle stage of the Earth celestial stage. No matter how strong his body is, he can't cross the gap between an Earth celestial and a heavenly celestial. Don't look at me like that. I'm just telling the truth. Didn't you notice that after Chun Hao entered the core palaces, many heavenly celestial stage elites appeared? Maybe Hu Meinyang is among them. Indeed. This Chun Hao is really crazy. He knows there are a lot of enemies, but he still dares to enter the core palaces. There's no need to wait until he enters the core palaces. As long as those heavenly celestial stage elites fully comprehend the 9th hex, they will definitely be able to kill him. That seems to be the case. However, do you think Chun Hao is an idiot? He was able to comprehend the 9th hex so early and enter the core palaces. How strong is his power of comprehension? Even Hu Meinyang with the Khanate Taoist Foundation has not entered the core palaces. Of course, if she was in this city, she would not have comprehended the 9th hex. Otherwise, she would have attacked. If she was in another city, I wonder, would such a person be so stupid as to wait to be killed? Chapter 741. This isn't a matter of stupidity. He's probably doing this because he feels that he has no hope of escaping. At the very least, even if he dies, he'll die with a bang. I don't think he has anything to rely on. Countless cultivators discussed in shock after they saw Chun Hao fully comprehend the 9th hex and step into the core palace. In the eyes of the vast majority of cultivators, this was completely illogical. Everyone knew that there were countless experts eyeing Chun Hao now, and there were even more who coveted the Tao manifestation fruit. As far as they were concerned, Chun Hao's best method was to rely on his formidable concealment ability to change his appearance and stay away from trouble. Only in this way would he be able to preserve his life. However, Chun Hao was already so high profile on the last level. Du Jing, who'd changed his appearance, had no need for discussion in the crowd, and his expression was solemn. No one knew that he, who was similarly renowned for his terrifying poison arts and made the Xeno race flee at the mere sight of him, had long since become Chun Hao's servant. Can he really fight a heavenly immortal? If he dies, I'll be annihilated as well. There's no choice. Even if he's going against the entire world, I have to participate in this battle. Perhaps he can create a miracle? Du Jing thought in his heart. When he became Chun Hao's servant, His fate was already tied together with Chen Hao's. In less than 2 years, he'd been completely awed by Chen Hao's terrifying strength. Chen Hao's domineering strength was absolutely not something he could compare to. But now, Chen Hao's high-profile entrance into the core palace made him feel very helpless. This was the last level. Once all the inheritances and treasures in the core palace on this level were obtained, it meant that the 9 restrictions would vanish completely. Not to mention others. Even Du Jing himself was confident that he could easily defeat Chen Hao, because he deeply understood how great the gap between an earth immortal and a heavenly immortal was. I hope so. If I die now, I can be like him, my master, and go crazy. Hiss. In a corner of the city, an imperceptible 9-colored radiance suddenly flashed between the brows of a figure that sat cross-legged. He'd completely comprehended the 9 restrictions. Now should we make a move? The figure frowned and pondered for a full 2 minutes. Then she shook her head and said to herself, "Anyway, it's already in the bag. It can't run away. Let's wait a little longer." Even though I'm no longer under the influence of the 9 immortal sealing restrictions, and have regained the strength of a heaven immortal, the pressure of the inheritance in the palace is only for those who have broken through the 9 immortal sealing restrictions. In the end, the figure chose to wait. Similarly, not long after that, countless cultivators that wanted to watch the show surged into the city Chen Hao was in. Of course, there were also heavenly immortal realm experts amongst them that had obtained the news and come over. And yet, despite having complete enlightenment of the 9th hex, no one dared to make a move. This was because everyone knew that once they entered the core palace, they would have to endure the terrifying pressure and mechanisms within the palace. In that case, Chen Hao's freakish body would have an absolute advantage. If things went wrong, he might even be at a disadvantage. Once the palace disappeared, it would be time for them to make their move. Moreover, everyone knew that Chen Hao was now Tang Sanzang's flesh. Needless to say, the Dao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Core was something that every cultivator wanted. Whether they could get their hands on it depended on their luck. Even if they could not get their hands on the Dao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Core, Chen Hao had countless ancient sacred artifacts, pills, secret manuals, and other treasures. There was no doubt that they would benefit greatly if they could get a share of it. This was because the Saintess of the Misty Rain House, who Mainyang with the Khanate Taoist embryo, had stepped forward and made a call. She had united many experts and made a promise. Bang, 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 bang. A month and a day later, the calm before the storm was finally broken by heavy footsteps that sounded like they were stepping on everyone's hearts. 4 identical figures appeared in front of the city gate. The 4 of them stood side by side. Their steps were synchronized, and their bodies were emitting an extremely terrifying aura. Every step they took made the city tremble. Their cold and arrogant expressions intimidated the world. The moment they appeared, the densely packed cultivators in the city were in an uproar. After that, the names of the 4 berserk dragons resounded throughout the entire city, and it spread out like a hurricane within the city. The 4 wild dragons were not dead. Not only were they not dead, but they had also stepped into the Heaven Immortal stage. Moreover, they had not stepped into the Heaven Immortal stage for a day or 2. Ever since they were killed by Chen Hao, there had been no news of the 4 wild dragons in the area of the 9 seals of immortality. This was not a big deal to the cultivators who thought that the 4 wild dragons were dead. However, Chen Hao, who knew that the 4 wild dragons were not dead, felt a little strange. He even suspected that the 4 fellows were too heavily injured. Although they had escaped, they still could not avoid death in the end. He did not expect them to appear at this time. After disappearing for more than 2 years, they appeared again. "Mother, let us go." "No. Although you are already very strong, you are not a match for any heaven immortal after the 9 seals of immortality are lifted." This is not an exaggeration, but a fact. What about Hao? Why did he do this? At this time, if we don't go, we will never be able to forgive ourselves. "Mother, we must go." "Master, Sister Shui is right. We would rather die than go," the sisters said firmly. "Auntie, you have no right to interfere with me," Long Ting said stubbornly. "Auntie, you have no right to interfere with me and Donglu," Fan Dongxing said. "A group of silly children. You know how are so well." Don't you trust him all the time? This time, since he chose to do this, he must have something to rely on. Forget it, forget it. I can agree to let you go, but all of us must be separated, and we must completely change our appearances. We must not be exposed at any time. Okay. Everyone replied in unison. After saying that, Chen Shui left quickly and rushed toward the city not far away. Immediately Long Ting, the sisters and the others also left. Even Senior Immortal Yun Wei's eyes were filled with anger. She glared at Senior Immortal Han Mei and turned to leave. Senior Immortal Han Mei sighed helplessly. Obviously, everyone thought that she was a coward who was afraid of death. Why did Tianxi do this? What could he rely on? Nobody knows a son better than his father. But as his father, I don't understand. Senior Immortal Han Mei, who was alone, murmured to herself. He knew Chen Hao's character very well. If he did not have something to rely on, he would not do this. However, he could not think of anything that could make Chen Hao dare to challenge a group of experts in the Heaven Immortal stage. Senior Immortal Han Mei shook her head and walked toward the city. Chapter 742. Outside another city, a man and a woman were walking hand in hand. They seemed to be walking at a leisurely pace, but every step they took was 1,000 feet long. They were quickly approaching the city. So fast. The cultivators who had just walked out of the city and seemed to be heading somewhere were all attracted by a man and a woman who were walking towards them. They look so young. How can they be so fast? Could it be the legendary shrinking earth? Their aura is not strong. I think they must have some secret technique to increase their speed. Senior brother, we've finally arrived at the city. Ha! Yes, luckily the 9 restrictions are not difficult for us to comprehend. We should be able to see Big Brother soon. Ah, look at how excited you are. Aren't you excited? Petty. If I tell Big Brother what you were thinking, he'll definitely. Don't, Junior sister. Isn't it your fault for provoking me? If you dare to say it, I'll kill myself. Alright, go ahead. Do it now. Don't worry, I won't stop you. Ahem. Alright, if you want to say it, then say it. Big Brother won't scold me because of our private matters. Come, let's go and ask. These two people were Li Yang and Chen Ling. At this moment, the two of them had already become one with Yin and Yang. What would it be like when the immortal spiritual bodies of Extreme Yin and Extreme Yang merged? Other than the two of them, no one else knew. That was because their auras were very calm and not strong at all. Only his extremely shocking speed, as if he was taking a stroll, was more eye-catching. In the blink of an eye, the two of them arrived in front of the cultivators who had just seen them. Hello, fellow cultivators. May I ask if you have any news about Chen Hao? Li Yang cupped his fists and asked politely. He was like the big boy next door, giving people a very friendly feeling. He even had a scholarly aura around him. If not for the shocking speed that he had just displayed, the cultivators present would have thought that he was a weak bookworm. That was because when he got close to the crowd, Li Yang's aura was even more restrained. It did not have any effect on the crowd at all. Little brother, you're here to watch the show too? Then you've asked the right person. We've received the news that we're heading to the city where Chen Hao is. It's said that he's already entered the city's core palace. That's great. Brother, please tell me the direction. Many thanks. It's just one city away from this city. If you rush at full speed, it will take about a month. However, your speed should be very fast. You should be able to arrive in half a month, right? It will definitely be very lively this time. It is said that many heavenly immortal experts have rushed over. That Chen Hao is really too arrogant. Knowing that there are countless enemies, he still dares to enter the core palace. Arrogant? Thanks. Li Yang frowned slightly as he glanced at the cultivator who spoke. After saying that, he pulled Chen Ling, who was clearly on the verge of exploding, and suddenly disappeared before everyone's eyes without a sound. It can't be? The cultivators present widened their eyes. How could he disappear into thin air? Did you sense his aura? I didn't sense anything at all. Me too. This concealment technique, and their speed, is too terrifying. A heavenly immortal expert. It must be. I know, They're probably looking for Chen Hao for the Tao manifestation fruit and countless treasures. You have to know that Chen Hao killed countless experts of the foreign races and obtained countless divine equipment treasures. It is said that in the end, his bag was like a small mountain. Moreover, he even gave away his mediocre primordial spirit treasure to other human cultivators for free. It must be so. Let's go, let's hurry over. Just now, a cultivator sent news that not only did the 4 wild dragons not die, they even stepped into the heavenly immortal realm. When the time comes, it will definitely be an earth-shattering battle. Junior sister, you can't get angry so easily. They're just expressing their opinions from their own point of view. It's not wrong to say that Big Brother is arrogant. He's just a frog in a well looking at the sky. Don't tell me you want to shut everyone's mouths. Besides, they're right. Big Brother is indeed arrogant. Killing God. Haha, in these 2 years, whether it's the human race or the foreign race, who doesn't revere Big Brother when they hear his name? If I didn't know that they didn't mean it, senior brother, would you be able to stop me? Yes, junior sister, you're the best. Of course. Senior brother, this time, Big Brother knew that the 9 restrictions would disappear, but he had to face so many heavenly immortal enemies and even entered the core palace. Do you think Big Brother's strength has reached an even more terrifying level? I don't know. According to common sense, it's not very likely. But Big Brother can't be predicted with common sense. Big Brother's experience is the best proof. Li Yang said seriously. This was the judgment he made after obtaining Chen Hao's memories from his junior sister. Although Chen Hao had only interacted with the 2 of them for a short period of time, it could be said that Chen Ling and Li Yang understood Chen Hao better than Chen Shui and the others. This was because not only had Chen Ling exchanged memories with Chen Hao, she had even secretly looked at Chen Hao's privacy. Yes, I just don't know who obtained that senior's inheritance. Unfortunately, we were at a critical juncture of our cultivation and couldn't split ourselves. That's indeed a problem. At that time, the fluctuation covered tens of thousands of miles. We sensed it even when we were in the cave abode. Moreover, it triggered a terrifying heavenly punishment. If this person wants to go against Big Brother, it'll be a little troublesome. Before the Daluo Golden Wonderland, we were at the same level as him, but I don't think we were a match for him. Yes, senior brother, let's hurry up. It'll be bad if Big Brother is in danger. Yes. The 2 of them suddenly sped up again and flew into the distance. Chen Hao's experience and the fact that Chen Hao had given up the extreme path inheritance to save their lives had made them treat Chen Hao as their big brother. Moreover, he was their only family in the world. Whoever wanted to touch Chen Hao would have to step over their dead bodies. It was that simple. They did not know how powerful the other heavenly immortals were, but the cultivator who obtained that senior's extreme path inheritance was definitely terrifying. This was because their master had left behind a letter saying that before the Daluo Golden Wonderland, the cultivator who specialized in cultivating the physical body was superior to them, who specialized in cultivating the spirit altar. After the Daluo Jingxian, the cultivator who specialized in cultivating the spirit altar was on par with him. Fuck his mother. Heavenly immortals are nothing. Whoever dares to touch my senior brother will die. Boom. In a city, a tall and mighty young man filled with endless wild aura, who was like an ancient ferocious beast, after hearing the discussions of the surrounding cultivators, inexplicably erupted with a furious roar. He directly stomped on the ground and violently charged out of the city. Coiling Dragon. That's Coiling Dragon, who has been silent for more than a year. After the battle with Chen Hao, he mysteriously admitted defeat and left, and there was no news of him. Now he's actually appeared. That aura is too terrifying. His senior brother. Could it be Chen Hao? How could Chen Hao be his senior brother? If you like this work, you're welcome to come to Qidian. Come to vote for me. Your support is my greatest motivation. Chapter 743. Hiss hiss hiss. Within the core palace, immortal light coiled about while talisman markings fluttered about. Chen Hao sat cross-legged under boundless pressure, and he was like an old monk in meditation. The space between his brows was like a blood-red amber that was sparkling and translucent, and dense killing intent wasn't intentionally released at all. It seemed material as it enveloped the entire palace just as he cultivated. Murderous aura crystallized. Murderous intent turned into reality. In these 2 years, Chen Hao had lost count of how many cultivators of the foreign races he had killed. Along the way, he had stepped on countless bones. If there weren't tens of thousands of them, there were at least thousands. As a result, the murderous aura on his body had become more and more intense. It had also caused his slaughter sword Dao to surpass the immortal sword Dao and destruction sword Dao that he was most proficient in. Not only had his sword soul formed, it had also grown to perfection. He also obtained countless treasures. In the end, he had to give away middle-grade and upper-grade treasures if they were slightly bigger. But, after every killing spree, the murderous aura in Chen Hao's heart would not dissipate. That feeling was like the addiction of a smoker. He was addicted to killing. Chen Hao was very clear that this situation was not good for him. If he could not get rid of the murderous aura on his body, it could affect his spiritual altar if it continued to accumulate. It was also at that time that Chen Hao started to cultivate the soul healing technique that Chen Ling had taught him. Previously, he had planned to study the 2 ultimate unique skills after the coiling dragon came to fruition before he started cultivating them. But because of the influence of the murderous aura on his body, he had to start cultivating his soul healing technique earlier. Chen Ling's so-called soul healing technique was only the final and highest step. In reality, it was a complete set of soul cultivation techniques that contained various miraculous uses. For example, Chen Ling could secretly investigate Chen Hao's private matters. Li Yang could appear and disappear silently. And even Chen Hao couldn't sense his presence at all. And so on. These were all techniques that used soul healing techniques. As Chen Hao cultivated, the murderous aura on his spiritual altar was purified, and the murderous aura around him disappeared as well. However, whether it was the spiritual altar or the murderous aura that had entered every cell of his body, it did not completely disappear. Instead, it gathered in his soul palace and merged with the slaughter sword spirit. Once Chen Hao activated his slaughter sword Dao, his entire being would be filled with killing intent. The more he killed, the more exhilarated he felt. This situation still made Chen Hao worried. It was because he could feel that once the battle started, he would not be able to control his mind completely. The slaughter sword spirit would subconsciously affect his state of mind. He didn't realize it at the time, but he felt like he was dreaming afterward. This was an inner demon of slaughter. If he was allowed to continue developing, then Chen Hao would definitely become a true god of slaughter. This was not what Chen Hao wanted. However, there was nothing he could do at the moment. The only thing he could do was to condense the slaughter sword spirit even more and gain absolute control over it. This way, the murderous aura would not be released at all and would not affect his state of mind. No one knew that Chen Hao, who was immersed in the core palace, was only cultivating under the huge pressure in the hall. He did not even go deep into the core palace to get the inheritance treasures and techniques. Beside him, there was a pile of bundles that were tied together like a small mountain. Chi. Chi. Suddenly, waves of energy rippled out from the door of the core palace. Can't hold it in anymore? Chen Hao, who was immersed in cultivation, was suddenly awakened as he opened his eyes. Come. Hiss. The murderous aura that filled the entire palace seemed to have materialized as Chen Hao opened his eyes and shouted. It merged into the blood-colored sword spirit on his forehead. When the sword spirit merged into the soul palace, the entire place was devoid of murderous aura. At this moment, Chen Hao's handsome face became as heavy as water. My spirit is clear, and the murderous aura is gone. However, I can't really kill it. It's still a hidden danger. The more I kill, the more it will affect me in the future. Unless I destroy the slaughter sword spirit. Chen Hao frowned. But this is my cultivation. If I destroy it, the power of my slaughter sword will be greatly reduced. My combat power will also be greatly affected. He had already fully comprehended the 9 immortal sealing hexes, but if he wanted to restore the complete laws of his divine abilities, he would have to obtain all of the core palace's legacies and treasures. Only then would the 9 immortal sealing hexes be broken, and all cultivators would no longer be affected by the 9 immortal sealing hexes. Let's talk about it after I've solved the problem in front of me. After a short moment of hesitation, Chen Hao gave up on the idea of destroying the slaughter sword spirit. This was because he knew his current situation very well. The moment he stepped into the core palace, he knew what he was going to face. It's been more than a month. Everyone who should be here, right? There should be quite a few cultivators who have comprehended the 9 celestial sealing spells. Finally, someone dares to open the core palace. Chen Hao's face showed the pride of a young man. With the strength of a single person, who could intimidate the world under the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing. Rumble, as the 9-colored light grew brighter and brighter, the heavy doors opened with a rumble. Chen Hao, come out if you have the guts. A furious roar, like a clap of thunder, was transmitted into the palace the instant the palace gates opened. All the cultivators in the city were in an uproar at this moment. The 4 wild dragons have finally comprehended the 9 celestial sealing spells. As expected of the 4 wild dragons. The 4 wild dragons must have gone into hiding after being severely injured. I didn't expect them to have already become heavenly immortals when they returned. They even dared to open the core palace and challenge the slaughter god Chen Hao. That's right. Hu Meinyang and the other heavenly immortals must have already comprehended the 9 celestial sealing spells. They must be in this city. But none of them dared to challenge him at this time. The 4 wild dragons are really fierce. Forget it. If they're fierce enough, why don't they just charge in? What's the point of shouting? Chen Hao is only at the intermediate earthly immortal stage. They're all heavenly immortals, but they don't dare to enter the core palace. What's so fierce about that? Besides, Chen Hao almost killed all 4 of them. They've lost all face. Now they're just opening the door to challenge him. They're just trying to save some face. Ah, Chen Hao. He didn't enter the palace? When the doors opened completely and countless cultivators gathered around, they saw Chen Hao sitting cross-legged facing the doors of the palace. Celestial light swirled and runes flashed. Chen Hao was in the middle of it all. Anyone was able to discern that Chen Hao would definitely have to endure the terrifying pressure from the 9th level of the core palace. Yet now, Chen Hao's handsome face was calm like water, and he didn't seem to be in the slightest pain from enduring the pressure. Come out if you have the guts. Wanlong, the leader of the 4 wild dragons, shouted angrily again. He looked at Chen Hao with eyes full of hatred and anger. Chapter 744. Countless gazes gathered on Chen Hao, who was sitting cross-legged inside the door. Chen Hao, who originally had a calm expression, curled his lips into a cold smile. His pitch-black and deep eyes shone with a soul-stirring light at the same time as he looked straight at the leader of the 4 berserk dragons. At the same time, he slowly stood up, whoosh. The temporarily silent crowd was immediately stirred up by Chen Hao's insignificant action. Is he going to come out? Countless people's hearts were in turmoil. Everyone knew that Chen Hao's greatest advantage at this moment was that he was in the palace. Only in this way could he contend against the experts who had comprehended the 9 seals of immortal sealing, and had stepped into the heaven immortal realm. After all, although the 9 seals of immortal sealing had not been broken, the state of every cultivator's true essence and mind power had been raised to their peak state. The only thing that was suppressed was the operation of the divine power law. It could be said that he already had the absolute advantage of the heaven immortal realm. If Chen Hao came out, what would it be other than courting death? In the palace, because he had to endure the terrifying inheritance pressure, he could still rely on his powerful body and soul to occupy the advantage. Coming out was absolutely impossible. Bang. Chen Hao slowly took a step forward. His movements were very light, and he did not activate any energy. However, the light footsteps seemed to contain a kind of magic, causing everyone's hearts to instantly become heavy, and they all held their breaths. As for the 4 wild dragons, they took half a step back slightly. At the same time, the aura around them instantly soared. Deterrence. This was not pressure, but an invisible power. Spiritual power was invisible and formless, but it really existed. Just like the saying, a person's name is like a tree's shadow. The god of slaughter Chen Hao's reputation had already gained a place in everyone's hearts. No one dared to underestimate him. Suddenly, someone in the crowd shouted, "Brother Chen, don't be rash. They have guts. Let them in." Immediately, "Yes, Brother Chen, they are provoking you. Don't be fooled. Brother Chen, there are still many experts who want to harm you. Don't be rash. For wild dragons, if you have the guts, charge in. You have the nerve to rely on the fact that you have stepped into the heaven immortal realm? You're courting death." When the 4 wild dragons heard these clamors, they suddenly roared furiously, and an endless amount of pressure was released. Brother Chen is the hero of our human race. Without him, many of our fellow humans would have perished here. Who do you think you 4 mad dragons are? Why didn't you act so arrogantly when you were fighting against the non-human kind? At such a time, he actually came to snatch Brother Chen's magic treasure? Kill me if you have the guts. My life was saved by Brother Chen. Whoever dares to touch Brother Chen will have to kill me first. And those so-called geniuses of yours, I feel ashamed for you. Other than bullying your fellow countrymen, what have you done? The god of slaughter, Chen Hao, ignored the rules and was not afraid of anyone's background. As long as someone dared to provoke him to snatch the treasure, no matter who it was, he would kill them with a single blow. But all these years, have we ever heard of him taking the initiative to kill any of his compatriots? But for some people, any good treasure belongs to them. Yes or no, it doesn't matter. We don't have any background, so we just snatch it from them. Those with a bit of background would resort to all sorts of schemes and machinations. They would resort to any means possible. What were they? On what basis? The first cultivator to speak said sternly. His voice reverberated through heaven and earth, carrying with it the will to die without hesitation. If you don't want to die, shut up. You can control my mouth, but can you control the mouths of everyone in the world? Kill me if you have the guts. The 9 seals of immortal sealing will be broken soon, and we will enter the core area. The real enemy is the non-human kind. And for some people, look at yourselves. If you have the guts, why don't you go and snatch the treasures of the non-human kind cultivators? Well said. Brothers and sisters of the human race, if you still have a conscience, then stand out. We are not experts, and we don't have any powerful background, but we know who saved our lives. So what if they are experts? They are nothing but trash who bullies their own nest. Let's fight. Death is the only outcome. My life was saved by Brother Chen in the first place. Boom. My life too. Fight. Fight. In an instant, more and more people responded. In a breath's time, there were more than 1,000 people. Although there were no true experts, the angry roars pierced the sky and shook the surroundings. What was even more shocking was that a will that was like a torrent of steel rushed straight into the sky. What did this mean? It was definitely not something that could be gathered by 1,000 people. As long as one glanced at the dense crowd, one would find that the expressions of the cultivators, who were many times more than 1,000 people, had become excited. Although they seemed to be hesitating, the expressions on their faces were obviously leaning towards Chen Hao. This scene made the 4 wild dragons vomit blood in anger. They wanted nothing more than to start a massacre. It also made the heavenly immortal experts who were hiding nearby, including Hu Mainyang, gnash their teeth in anger. Who would have thought that at this time, someone would dare to stand up for Chen Hao? Who would have thought that Chen Hao's prestige among the human cultivators was actually so high? No one would have thought. Even Chen Hao was a little dumbfounded. To be honest, he had never thought of being a hero. A hero, in his mind, was a kind of idiot who sacrificed himself for the sake of everyone. To be honest, Chen Hao really didn't think that he had such a high consciousness. But at this moment, he had actually become the hero, in everyone's mouth. Blushing with shame, he had indeed not killed any innocent human, and he had indeed saved countless human cultivators. But that kind of saving was completely because he had killed many foreign races. At most, at that time, when he passed by the crowd and saw that the human cultivators were in danger, he would first kill the foreign race who was fighting with them. It was completely something that could be done easily. He hunted the foreign races crazily and killed their experts in order to obtain the human race's contribution points, the treasures in the hands of the foreign races, and to train himself. Whoever dares to touch Brother Chen, I Du Jing will not let go. Boom. At this moment, A faint voice sounded, accompanied by a majestic and terrifying pressure. Flowing light flowed around Du Jing wantonly, and sparks flickered. He stared coldly at the 4 wild dragons and walked step by step toward the palace gate. Whoosh! The appearance of such a heavyweight expert to support Chen Hao was like a shot in the arm. It allowed the cultivators who were still wavering to integrate into Chen Hao's support army, and their momentum became stronger. Not only was Du Jing's combat strength extremely high, his poison skills were superb, and it was impossible to guard against him. In these 2 years he was also famous for his fighting prowess. Originally, Du Jing was one of the people who wanted to deal with Chen Hao in a very high-profile manner. Many cultivators knew that Du Jing was one of the cultivators who had inquired about Chen Hao. No matter what, no one expected Du Jing to stand out and support Chen Hao at this time. Talent. Seeing Du Jing's appearance, Chen Hao immediately understood what was going on. Just now, his sharp senses locked onto the cultivator who spoke first through the dense crowd. At the same time, he also sensed Du Jing's presence. Wasn't he beside that cultivator? It was just that he was not sure at that time. Now Du Jing's body was surrounded by poisonous insects, and he made a shocking appearance. In an instant, he won the respect and admiration of countless cultivators. Chen Hao could be sure who the initiator was. Chapter 745. Du Jing, other people might be afraid of you, but do you think we, the 4 mad dragons, are afraid of you? You are seeking death. Wan Long looked at Du Jing, who was approaching him step by step. His face became extremely gloomy and angry. There was no doubt that Du Jing was openly provoking them. Die. Whether you have the ability to kill me is a problem. Even if you do, I, Du Jing, can drag 1 or 2 of you down with me. If 1 or 2 of the 4 mad dragons die, you are nothing. Moreover, do you dare to kill me? Do you think I am like Chen Hao who has no background? Humph. Du Jing said disdainfully. He did not stop walking, and his words were merciless. I, Du Jing, am not a good person, but I know what righteousness is. We are about to confront the mysterious tribe, but you want to kill a human hero for a Dao manifestation celestial fruit core. Are you still human? When I say you, I am not only referring to the 4 mad dragons. You are just simple-minded idiots who stand out to be cannon fodder. Young Master Du Jing, who is the one who wanted to deal with Chen Hao? Don't talk about righteousness, we just want to kill a lunatic. This kind of devil who ignores the rules and kills the top genius disciples of the Divine Palace. Everyone has the right to kill him. Wan Tung said angrily. You are seeking death. We, the 4 mad dragons, are not for you to tell us what to do. Who do you think you are? Wan Long was burning with anger. If Wan Tung did not hold him back, he would have attacked directly. Boom. In the crowd, an aura suddenly bloomed. What a joke. Du Jing, are you talking about us? You think you are invincible just because you brought out a few holy-level poisonous insects? What a bullshit hero. Those guys just now were your subordinates, right? They just killed a little more than the mysterious tribe. When it comes to a real fight, he is not qualified to be compared with us. He is just a piece of trash at the medium stage of the Earth's celestial stage. Once the celestial ceiling 9 restrictions breaks through, any heaven celestial can kill him. Boom. Boom. So what if I want the Dao manifestation celestial fruit core? So what if I step on your dead bodies? How dare you block my way? I will kill you with my sword. Ha. Ha. Don't even think about the Dao manifestation celestial fruit core. That is what Miss Hu wants. As for the rest of the treasures, they could just split it amongst themselves. Of course, if you are confident that you can defeat Miss Hu, then I, by Wuxia, have nothing to say. That's right. I sure Zhongtian think so too. Jianchen, could it be that you think you can defeat Miss Hu? For berserk dragons, are you not convinced? Powerful auras appeared from all directions, and each aura represented a master in the celestial realm. Even if the people present did not know all of them, there were still many who knew them, especially the disciples of the Sage Hall. The majestic and terrifying pressure immediately engulfed the entire city. The cultivators who wanted to fight for Chen Hao a moment ago felt as though a bucket of cold water had been poured over them under the absolute pressure of these experts. They no longer dared to make a sound. Amidst the crowd, a figure moved gracefully, her fragrance lingering in the air, instantly attracting the gazes of everyone. A graceful and exquisite figure, a charming face that could topple nations, and a myriad of amorous feelings blossomed from her bright eyes. Delicate yet not seductive. Nothing more beautiful could be imagined. The Tao manifestation celestial fruit core does not belong to Chen Hao. Back then, Mei Nyang Moling Takshu and Bai Yan were only upholding justice for the Sage Hall disciple, Lan Feng. Who would have thought that Chen Hao would actually kill Moling Takshu and Bai Yan, two top geniuses of the human race, and even humiliate Mei Nyang? Do you think such a person is a hero of the human race? A charming yet ethereal voice resounded in the crowd. Her voice was not loud, but it clearly entered the ears of everyone. Countless people did not seem to pay attention to what Hu Meinyang was saying, but they felt that what she said was right, it was the truth. Peerless elegance, the sound of nature. The faint fragrance of her body even suffused the tip of their noses. Her aura was vast and mighty like the spring breeze. It was not oppressive, but it was like a female emperor descending to the world, causing countless cultivators to have the impulse to submit and worship her. Hu Meinyang, so beautiful, so powerful. Is this the current Misty Rain Pavilion's holy maiden? She really lives up to her reputation. Knowing someone by their reputation is not as good as meeting them in person. To be able to see such a peerless woman in this life, my life has not been in vain. The cultivators with higher cultivations were all secretly praising her in their hearts. Their eyes could no longer move away from Hu Meinyang's body. The minds of those with weaker cultivations were blank. The world lost its color, and only Hu Meinyang's figure floated in front of them. Du Jing, is Meinyang wrong? Hu Meinyang's pair of bright eyes suddenly bloomed with a strange light. She looked at Du Jing and asked with a sweet smile. You. Du Jing was clearly very clear-headed, but a mysterious force seemed to have penetrated his eyes and fused into the depths of his heart. He wanted to say wrong, but he actually could not bear to disobey Hu Meinyang, this precious creature of the human world. He knew that his life and death were together with Chen Hao, but he still did not want to. Meinyang only wants the Tao manifestation immortal fruit core. The other treasures are up to you. I hope that everyone can fulfill Meinyang's wish. Meinyang thanks you in advance. Hu Meinyang bowed slightly. Amazing, truly amazing. At this moment, a voice suddenly rang out from the silent crowd. Chen Hao, who had been quietly watching the development of the situation with a calm expression, finally spoke. His voice was also not loud, but it penetrated everyone's eardrums and fused into everyone's hearts. It was also at this moment that everyone was stunned. They looked at Chen Hao with shame in their hearts. They did not feel that they had been bewitched. They only thought that they were attracted by Hu Meinyang's peerless beauty, and Chen Hao's voice had diverted their attention. Hu Meinyang, I haven't seen you for a few years, and your cultivation has improved. Even your words are like the sound of the great Tao. Is this the highest level of the Red Dust Heart Sutra? Truly amazing. Chen Hao's handsome face also had a smile. His black eyes looked directly at Hu Meinyang. At this moment, everyone could feel that there was a colorless and formless aura between the two of them. Du Jing broke out in cold sweat. Only he knew that Hu Meinyang had deliberately used the Red Dust Heart Sutra on him just now. That gaze was the fuse. If not for Chen Hao's timely words, he would still be in a daze at this moment. He had long known that Hu Meinyang was strong, but Du Jing did not expect that Hu Meinyang, who had stepped into the heavenly celestial stage, would be so strong that she could kill without leaving a trace. He was a first-class genius, and also a heavenly celestial stage. At the same time, he could not help but admire his master, Chen Hao. But now the situation was not optimistic. In order to survive, he had carefully set up a trap to help Chen Hao, but it was easily broken by the other party. Needless to say, it was impossible to rely on righteousness to suppress him now. Unless Chen Hao did not come out, a battle to the death was inevitable. No matter how strong Chen Hao was, Du Jing did not think that he and Chen Hao could fight against many heavenly celestial stage experts, especially the top experts like Hu Meinyang and the 4 wild dragons. Meinyang does not know if I'm strong or not, but I'm strong enough to kill you, Hu Meinyang said with a smile. Her eyes were fixed on Chen Hao, but there was a flash of shock in the depths of her eyes. Chapter 746. After stepping into the Heaven Celestial stage, Hu Meinyang's Red Dust Heart Sutra was no longer the same as before. Although it was still suppressed by the 9 seals of immortality, its power was 10 times stronger than when she fought with Chen Hao. Every single move, frown, or smile of hers was capable of causing everyone to be naturally affected. And it was even done unconsciously. She was able to bewilder a top genius like Du Jing with just a little bit of it. But now, she'd utilized her full strength. Yet it was actually unable to affect Chen Hao in the slightest under Chen Hao's unrestrained gaze. And she couldn't help but be shocked. Is that so? Looks like your butt doesn't hurt anymore. Chen Hao's lips curled up slightly, and his handsome face was suddenly filled with an evil charm. Crash! Chen Hao's casual words caused an uproar among countless cultivators. It was a blatant provocation and ridicule. At the same time, it was also a blatant arrogance. You. Hu Meinyang's holy goddess smile suddenly froze and her delicate body trembled. Her bottom line was directly broken by Chen Hao's words. Goddess, the goddess in the hearts of countless people, no man could resist her peerless demeanor. But the man who kicked her but actually exposed her scar in front of countless cultivators. What made her even more unbearable was that Chen Hao's tone and eyes didn't put her in his eyes at all. Tie. Holy maiden, even a goddess can get angry? This is your real face, isn't it, with a hint of lust? You're courting death. Boom. Hu Meinyang was already angry and embarrassed, and Chen Hao's words made her even angrier. Her voice was no longer as pleasant to the ears as before. Instead, it was extremely sharp. A majestic and terrifying pressure was released at the same time. With her as the core, the heavens and earth trembled, and the laws of Tao resonated. Even the Heaven Celestial stage followers standing beside her were shocked by the sudden burst of aura, and stepped back. Come on. See if I don't beat your butt until it's swollen. Haha. Chen Hao laughed wildly. Chen Hao's frivolous expression caused many cultivators to frown. However, the astute ones naturally understood that Chen Hao was merely trying to provoke Hu Meinyang. At the same time, it also showed how powerful Hu Meinyang was. That was indeed the case. A confident and calm opponent was far more terrifying than an opponent who was so angry that he lost his mind. In particular, Chen Hao could feel the terrifying power contained within Hu Meinyang's enchanting body. It could definitely be described as unfathomable. Even if the 4 berserk dragons combined into one, they would still be far inferior. Perhaps this was also the reason why the 4 berserk dragons chose to remain silent after Hu Meinyang and the others appeared. Do you really think that I, Hu Meinyang, wouldn't dare? Miss Hu, this brat is extremely arrogant. I've already said that there's no need to wait for the palace to disappear. We'll just kill our way in. It's just that his physical body is a little stronger. Don't tell me we're afraid of him. Yes, charge in. No one can insult Miss Hu. Clang clang clang. Boom boom boom. The brainless experts who were obviously subdued by Hu Meinyang were filled with righteous indignation as they activated the energy around their bodies and unsheathed their swords. As soon as Hu Meinyang gave the order, they would charge in without hesitation. Their bodies and minds were bewitched, but they didn't know it. At this moment, Du Jing knew that he was going to charge into the palace in a flash. He wanted to fight side by side with Chen Hao. Chen Hao, who was standing in the middle of the palace hall, couldn't stop him in time. Boom. A terrifying pressure suddenly descended. Immortal light coiled around and talisman scripts flickered as it violently surged towards Du Jing. Although he was mentally prepared, Du Jing's body suddenly bent down as if a huge mountain was pressing down on him. And he stared with his eyes wide open in shock. Puff. There was no suspense at all. Du Jing spat out a mouthful of blood. Chen Hao shook his head helplessly. What could he do? Infuriating Hu Meinyang and making her lose her mind and charge in was undoubtedly the best result. They didn't know how strong the pressure in the palace was, but Chen Hao knew very well. However, Du Jing's loyalty and righteousness had exposed how strong the pressure in the core palace of the 9th hex was. How is this possible? Du Jing is doing this on purpose, right? Everyone was shocked. Chen Hao's relaxed appearance was a stark contrast to Du Jing's coughing up blood from the pressure. After all, Du Jing was also a top genius in the heavenly immortal realm. Even if his physical body and soul were not as strong as Chen Hao's, he shouldn't be so weak. But the truth was, no, he's not pretending. His energy and aura can't be faked. The pressure in this palace is indeed much stronger than the 8 hex. Fortunately, we didn't charge in immediately. Otherwise, we would have been caught off guard by Chen Hao. In the crowd, Chen Shui, Long Ting, and the others who were ready to fight hurriedly retracted their auras. Du Jing, go in and cultivate. Just don't enter the core. Let's just wait, Chen Hao said as he looked at Du Jing, who was struggling to support himself. Brother Chen, is there any use in waiting? If we charge out together, we might have a chance of survival. The longer we wait, the more experts will come. Don't worry. As long as they can afford to wait, can't we? As long as this palace isn't broken, the 9 hex won't disappear. I think the experts of the other races won't be able to wait for too long, right? It'll be very lively then. Think about the scene when the entire army of the other races enters the last city. I'm looking forward to it, Chen Hao said with a smile. He didn't suppress his voice at all. Brother Chen is wise. Since it's chaotic, let's make it even more chaotic. Ha! A bunch of trash. If Brother Chen had my background, they wouldn't dare to rob you so openly even if they had 10 guts. What kind of bullshit genius is he? Isn't he still captivated by the secular Heart Sutra and doesn't know it? Thank you for your help just now, Brother Chen. Otherwise, I would have been bewitched by that witch too. Du Jing's voice was louder as he cupped his fists and bowed to Chen Hao with reverence in his eyes. Du Jing, fucking bullshit. Since when were we bewitched? Miss Hu, it's obviously impossible to take down this kid without sacrificing ourselves. He's right. If this drags on when the other core palaces are broken and we can't step out of the 9 hex seals for a long time, the army of the other races will definitely gather here. So I think we should charge in together regardless of the cost. No matter how strong his body is, he can only deal with 2 or 3 of us at most. Can he overturn the heavens? One of the stronger cultivators said. Brother Wan, what do you think? After a slight hesitation, Hu Meinyang looked at the gloomy faces of the 4 wild dragons and said with bright eyes. However, the 4 wild dragons didn't even look at Hu Meinyang. It wasn't that they didn't want to look, but they were afraid that they would unknowingly fall into her trap. Just as Du Jing had said, they also felt that this group of so-called geniuses no longer had their own backbone. So many of them actually revolved around a woman, and even obeyed her orders. If the 4 wild dragons were to become like that, they might as well die. The Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Core belongs to us 4 wild dragons. We can charge in first. Does he really think we're afraid of him? We're afraid that you'll be the Oriole behind us, Wan Long said arrogantly. Chapter 747. 4 wild dragons, are you dreaming? Do you think you can fight? Enough. Hu Meinyang interrupted the cultivator, who was about to mock the 4 wild dragons. Brother Wan, since you're also aiming for the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit, Meinyang has an idea. What idea? It's simple. We'll work together to kill Chen Hao and the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit will go to whoever gets it. Meinyang can have a fair fight with all of you. How about that? Then who's going to take the lead? This kid's body and will are extremely strong. Under such terrifying pressure, even the 4 of us won't have an easy time. Just like what Du Jing said. We don't want to be cannon fodder. Don't worry. Since Meinyang said so, there's naturally a way. Of course, it depends on Brother Wan. Depends on us? In the end, you still want us to take the lead? Don't misunderstand. Brother Wan, when the 4 of you combine into one, what I mean is that if you combine into one, you'll be able to defy the heavens and attract the heavenly punishment, right? That's right. We can do it. But that will consume a lot of energy. And when the heavenly punishment descends, the 4 of us will be injured and there won't be any energy in return. Don't even think about this idea. All you need to do is attract the heavenly punishment and leave the rest to us. Also, after killing Chen Hao, I'll give you enough time to recover to your peak state. At that time, we'll decide the winner and who gets the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit. How about it? You're very strong. Meinyang has no confidence in winning. But now that things have come to this, This is the only way. Otherwise, if we delay for too long, it'll be even more difficult for any of us to obtain the Tao manifestation immortal fruit. It's better to end it now. Hu Meinyang hurriedly said when she saw the 4 wild dragons hesitating. Damn it! Chen Hao, who had just angered Hu Meinyang to the point of vomiting blood, was now angered to the point of vomiting blood by this woman's venomous heart and arrogant attitude. It was as if she already controlled his life and death. Why aren't they here yet? Chen Hao thought to himself. Facing an unfathomable woman like Hu Meinyang, the 4 wild dragons, and many heavenly immortal experts, Chen Hao indeed had no confidence in winning or even escaping. He had seen Hu Meinyang's speed before. However, that didn't mean that Chen Hao was really going to stall for time until the non-human army arrived. At that time, not to mention the human race in this city facing a disaster, even he would not be able to escape. He was waiting for Chun Ling and Li Yang to arrive. According to his estimation, Chun Ling and Li Yang should have merged their yin and yang long ago. Taking into account the time they spent comprehending the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing, and the time they took to move in different directions, it shouldn't take long for them to arrive. This was what Chen Hao was relying on. Otherwise, he would not have entered the core palace in such a high-profile manner. However, the 2 of them still hadn't arrived yet. Chen Hao believed that Li Yang and Chun Ling's current strength were absolutely heaven-defying existences. With the 2 of them and Du Jing, even if they couldn't defeat the other party, it wouldn't be a problem for them to escape. Moreover, they could at least kill some idiots. Hu Meinyang, will you keep your word? Hu Meinyang promises in her capacity as the Misty Rain House's saintess. All right. Boom. Boom, boom, boom. After the 4 wild dragons responded, their auras instantly soared wildly. The surrounding cultivators instantly retreated and made way for them. Du Jing. Boss. Du Jing's expression was solemn. However, at this point, he knew very well that there was no way out. The only way was to fight to the death. No matter what, he was going to die. Then, before he died, he had to drag at least 2 of them down with him. He was already in the heavenly immortal stage. Once the 4 wild dragons triggered the heavenly punishment, he would be able to recover his true heavenly immortal strength under the cover of the heavenly punishment. He believed that the Poison King Sutra would definitely be able to drag a few of the weaker ones down with him. I'll release you from the slave contract. They're targeting me. With your background, I'm afraid no one will dare to kill you. Boss, you're serious? A milky white light suddenly escaped from between Chen Hao's brows. At the same time, a blood-red crystal amber appeared between Chen Hao's brows. Boundless killing intent surged out in an instant. Bang! Chen Hao opened his 5 fingers, and the golden spear beside him flew into his hand. Then he took a step forward and charged toward the door like lightning. Du Jing's eyes widened in shock. The white light emitted from between Chen Hao's brows had already entered his soul dwelling. He was already a free man. No matter what, he did not expect this. Chen Hao, in this moment of life and death, actually dared to break the soul contract with him. Could it be that Chen Hao should not order him to fight to the death? However, he actually let him go. Don't act rashly until the last moment. When Chen Shui was about to rush out, Venerable Immortal Han Mei suddenly pulled her tightly. At the same time, her eyes emitted a terrifying light as she looked at Long Ting, the siblings, and the rest who were looking at Chen Shui. Mother, listen to me. If I'm not wrong, he's most afraid of you appearing. You should know that a heaven immortal is not someone you can fight against. If you go out, it's no doubt hitting a rock with an egg. Taking a step back, even if Hao dies, you must live on and avenge him. Instead of perishing together. Boss, I, Du Jing, am not a coward. Boom. After a short moment of daze, Du Jing's face suddenly flashed with determination. He followed closely behind Chen Hao and rushed out of the core palace. If you don't die today, you'll always be my boss. If you die, then we die together. My Poison King Valley will definitely seek justice for me. What a terrifying murderous aura. Ahaha. Good. Hu Meinyang, since we've already forced him out, then let's kill him first. Our agreement still stands. How about that? The 4 wild dragons gave up on going against the heavens to trigger the heavenly punishment, and said loudly, "Okay." Hu Meinyang agreed readily. Obviously, she and the 4 wild dragons knew that if they fought now, it would instead give Chen Hao a chance to escape. Because among those present, only Hu Meinyang and the 4 wild dragons had the confidence to take down Chen Hao. Even if the others were heaven immortals, they were still restricted by the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing. And Chen Hao's unparalleled power when he hunted down the alien experts was definitely not something they could do. No one dared to underestimate him. 2 by 2 surround him. Hu Meinyang's coquettish voice became extremely cold at this moment as she gave the order. "Okay. Brat, accept your death obediently." Swish. Boom. 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 The experts under Hu Meinyang had obviously discussed and trained on how to take down Chen Hao at the lowest cost. Following Hu Meinyang's order, 2 by 2 experts stood side by side. A total of 30 heaven immortal experts violently activated their energy and blocked the entrance of the core palace, surrounding Chen Hao and Du Jing. Chapter 748. Heavenly Dragon Domain. Boom. At this moment, the 4 wild dragons suddenly roared, and 4 pillars of light shot out from their bodies into the sky. The terrifying energy and pressure were many times stronger than the last time they fought Chen Hao. The only difference was that although the 4 wild dragons used the Heavenly Dragon Domain, they did not directly surround Chen Hao. Instead, the 4 of them stood together, and only when they were close to their opponent would their opponent enter their domain. It would not affect Hu Meinyang and the others. "Today you can't escape. We, the 4 wild dragons, will tear you to pieces for the humiliation last time. You were a rare genius, but you ignored the rules and wantonly killed the top geniuses of the Sacred Hall, and even humiliated me, Hu Meinyang. Today you will die." Boom. 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 The 4 wild dragons, Hu Meinyang, and more than 30 heavenly immortal experts released an extremely terrifying aura at the same time, pressing down on Chen Hao and Du Jing. He he he. Suddenly, a clear and melodious voice that was like the tinkling of spring water, and carried a trace of playfulness sounded from the crowd. "Senior brother, I told you, this is our big brother. Why would our big brother be afraid of this group of rascals? Yes, we haven't seen each other for so long. Big brother's killing aura has crystallized and transformed into a soul, but his spiritual platform is still untainted. I think big brother gave them a way out, but they refused a toast only to drink a forfeit. They thought they had big brother." Their voices were erratic, sometimes from the east, sometimes from the west. What was even more strange was that there was not the slightest bit of aura leaking out. Even Chen Hao's extremely powerful soul perception could not lock onto their figures, and his fiery golden eyes had completely failed. But when he heard the clear and melodious laughter, Chen Hao's eyes, which had turned scarlet and filled with endless killing intent, lit up. Suddenly Chen Ling said again, "Who is that? Why are you still not coming out?" "Ha ha ha. Motherfucker, you 2 little fellows scared me to death. So my senior brother is your big brother?" Bang. 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 A wild and deep voice resounded through the clouds. The laughter was like thunder, and the wind and clouds churned. Accompanied by footsteps that were as heavy as mountains, the entire palace complex trembled. At the same time, the aura of an ancient ferocious beast spread out. "Your senior brother?" "That's right, my senior brother is Chen Hao. If I had known that senior brother was your big brother, I would have crushed these bastards to death long ago. Senior brother, I coiling dragon, am here." "Aha. Umph. You big idiot, if we knew you were my big brother's junior brother, we would have come out earlier. Big brother, we're here." Hiss. Chun Ling and Li Yang silently appeared in front of Chen Hao. Chun Ling directly held onto Chen Hao's arm like a little bird, smiling sweetly. "Big brother." Li Yang also looked at Chen Hao excitedly and called out. At this moment, the spectating cultivators were not the only ones who were dumbfounded. Hu Meinyang, the 4 berserk dragons, and the others were similarly shocked to the extreme. Who could silently penetrate their encirclement and appear beside Chen Hao? What kind of frightening cultivation was needed to achieve this? The 2 people before them were a man and a woman. Their faces were young and immature, but no one present was able to see through their cultivation. What was even more shocking was that the space between Chunling and Li Yang's brows emitted a crystalline light, and the top of their heads emitted oppressive immortal energy. Motherfucker, fuck off. Rumble. Bang. Bang. Amidst the sound of footsteps that shook the mountains and the earth, a colossus that was tall like a mountain seemed to cover half the sky. He held a golden axe in his hand and swung it down from 600 m away, causing a rumbling explosion that seemed as if the heavens and the earth were being split apart. The few heavenly immortal stage experts that surrounded Chun Hao instantly turned ghastly pale, and they retreated violently. Bang! Bang! Coiling Dragon arrived in front of Chun Hao with peerless speed, causing dust and rocks to swirl in the air. His violent and shocking entrance was a stark contrast to Chun Ling and Li Yang's silent appearance. However, the shock it brought to the crowd was no less than Chun Ling and Li Yang's. His body was as tall as 3 people, and he was filled with an endless wild aura. He was like an ancient divine beast that had descended, and every move he made seemed to have the power to collapse mountains. Senior brother, please accept junior brother's bow. Coiling Dragon knelt on the ground with a bang. What surprised everyone, including Chun Hao, was that Coiling Dragon actually knelt 3 times and kowtowed 9 times with a solemn and serious expression. After he finished bowing in one breath, he said, "Master once said that senior brother will temporarily take over master's responsibilities. I, Coiling Dragon, am your man. Senior brother, please accept it." A milky white light instantly flew out from between Coiling Dragon's eyebrows and floated in front of Chun Hao. Chun Hao simply didn't have time to say anything. Coiling Dragon directly stood up, turned around, held the axe horizontally, and swept his wild gaze towards Hu Meinyang, the 4 mad dragons, and the others with solemn expressions. "Motherfucker! You bunch of trash dare to touch my senior brother? Come, I'll beat all of you up. Hu Meinyang, right? Misty Rain Tower Saintess, right? Do you believe that I, the Manhuang tribe, will come out and destroy your Misty Rain Tower? Bitch. For mad dragons, right? Mad your motherfucker. Come, 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 I'll chop your mother into pieces with my axe." Big guy, you talk too much nonsense. Can't you just kill them? Don't worry, with me and senior brother here, none of them can escape. Go ahead and kill them. Big brother, hee. I'm awesome, right? Cough cough. Senior brother, I'll listen to you. If you say to kill them all, I'll kill them all. Coiling Dragon felt that he was fierce enough, but Chun Ling's words directly choked him. Although Coiling Dragon was barbaric and warlike, if he killed so many top geniuses in vast universe galaxy in one go, even the Manhuang tribe wouldn't be able to withstand a crusade from so many major forces. Killing the 2 masterminds, Hu Meinyang and the 4 mad dragons, was still something the Manhuang tribe could barely withstand. Coiling Dragon, you really want to deal with Meinyang? Hu Meinyang's expression was uncertain. With her innate Taoist embryo, she could clearly feel the strength of the 3. In any case, she didn't expect that Chun Hao would have such powerful helpers. She knew about Coiling Dragon, but the current Coiling Dragon was far more powerful than the rumors said. Where did Chun Ling and Li Yang come from? She had never heard of them. However, she knew that she couldn't stay silent anymore. Fuck off. What bullshit Red Dust Heart Sutra? It doesn't work on me. The women I like have breasts 5 times bigger than yours, and buttocks 10 times bigger than yours. Look at you, you have to stand on your tiptoes to aim your mouth at my crotch. I'm not interested even if you strip naked for me. How dare you? How dare you insult Miss Hu? Fuck. You're courting death by insulting Miss Hu. Kill them. It's just 5 of them. What are we afraid of? Kill them all. Chi. Chi 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 boom boom boom. I, Hu Meinyang, will kill you with my own hands. Hu Meinyang had never been so angry before. Coiling Dragon's shameless words made her 100 times angrier than Chun Hao's. At the same time, Coiling Dragon's insulting of the goddess in the hearts of many celestial immortals made them lose their minds. A great battle broke out. Dazzling light bloomed as Hu Meinyang pushed the Red Dust Heart Sutra to the extreme. She slashed out with her sword, and the great Tao resonated as the energy of heaven and earth surged. Chapter 749. So powerful. Is this the power of the innate Taoist embryo? It's terrifying. Hu Meinyang attacked furiously, and everyone else's attacks paled in comparison. Although they were at the same level, the other heavenly celestial experts' attacks were completely incomparable to Hu Meinyang's. That was the difference between a firefly and the moon. Big guy, leave her to us. Hiss. Chunling and Li Yang's figures suddenly disappeared. When they reappeared, they were already between Hu Meinyang and Pan Long. The two stood side by side, and at the same time, they formed a seal with their hands. Their hands became as translucent as jade, and their fingers shone like a blooming lotus. They were gentle and beautiful. However, as their fingers danced on the strings of a zither, a giant finger bloomed with terrifying pressure instantly formed in front of them. Quick! Chunling and Li Yang shouted at the same time and pointed their fingers. It was also at this moment that Chunling and Li Yang snatched away Hu Meinyang's coiling dragon. With a sweep of his axe, he single-handedly faced the attacks of several heaven immortal experts who were clamoring to kill him. Chen Hao, give me your life. At the same time, the four wild dragons seized the opportunity to attack Chen Hao violently. Today, I'll send you to the Western Paradise. Chen Hao shouted coldly. Boom. Boundless murderous intent followed Chen Hao's cold shout. He and the spear became one, and the spear turned into a swimming dragon. His soul and physical strength rolled, and it seemed to tear the space apart as he attacked the four wild dragons. A bunch of love-struck fools. I'll let you have a taste of the power of the Poison King Sutra. Come out, baby. Chi, chi. Countless tiny fluorescent lights danced in the sky, and as fast as lightning, they flew toward the other heavenly celestial experts. Du Jing, who had already decided to fight fiercely and drag a few people down with him, felt his blood boil and his fighting spirit soar because of the arrival of Chunling, Li Yang, and Pan Long. He instantly activated his Poison King Sutra to the limit and released 100 saint-level soul-devouring parasitic silkworms. Although he couldn't secretly poison Chunling and Li Yang like before, it wasn't that easy for the other heavenly celestial experts to get rid of the saint-level silkworms. If they weren't careful, they might fall into the trap. When the saint silkworm entangled the opponent, Du Jing's battle prowess, which was not any weaker, would display a great advantage. This was the reason why Du Jing was more difficult to deal with than the four mad dragons. He would rather offend the four mad dragons than provoke Du Jing, who was covered in poison. Rumble. Rumble. It was a long story, but in reality, everyone had made their moves at the same time. In an instant, majestic and terrifying energy wreaked havoc. Explosions resounded throughout the world, covering the sky and the sun. The earth wailed, and the protective light of the palace flickered. The spectating cultivators all retreated in fear. They looked at the clash between the top human experts of the primitive secret realm in shock. Hu Meinyang is actually at a disadvantage. Who were those two people? He's too strong. I've never even heard of it. Amazing. Too awesome. Chen Hao was still not at a disadvantage. He's only at the medium stage of the Earth Celestial stage, while the four mad dragons are already at the Heaven Celestial stage. Coiling Dragon is too terrifying. Is that body still human? Du Jing is indeed a true transmission disciple of the Poison King Valley. He's really difficult to deal with. Everyone widened their eyes in horror. They were dazzled and didn't know who to look at. They couldn't take care of everything at the same time. Such a terrifying melee was a rare top-level battle. The mysterious young man and woman were even more powerful than Hu Meinyang, the Holy Virgin of the Misty Rain House, who was known as the #1 person in the Earth Celestial stage in the vast universe galaxy. Chen Hao, who was only at the medium stage of the Earth Celestial stage, was facing the four mad dragons, who had been able to fight against Heaven Celestials when they were at the Earth Celestial stage, and were now at the Heaven Celestial stage. Coiling Dragon of the Savage Tribe, who had appeared only once in 10,000 years, had defeated more than 10 Heaven Celestial stage experts with a big axe. He had made several people spit out blood with just one blow. He was a ferocious beast in human form. His body was so strong that it made people's hair stand on end. Du Jing, who was the weakest, had used the Poison King scripture to control hundreds of poisonous insects at the holy level. More than 10 Heaven Celestial Stage experts avoided him like he was a snake or a scorpion. Everyone was dumbfounded. The Heaven Celestial Stage experts in the battle were even more shocked. They had thought that they would win the battle. But now, only 5 people had completely blocked dozens of them. No one could gain the upper hand. Haha, this is great. Kill them all. Go to hell. Rumble. Coiling Dragon's huge body jumped up high. He was like a tiger pouncing on a rabbit. The aura of an ancient ferocious beast was raging around him. He didn't hold back at all. Kill. Only kill. At this point, Coiling Dragon knew that there was no way out. He couldn't care about the consequences. He could only kill. He who was already addicted to battle threw away all his scruples. His whole body was boiling with beast blood. It was really beast blood. And it was the blood of an ancient divine beast. Boom, 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 puff, puff, puff. With one blow of the axe, several people flew backward with blood spurting out. Even if several people joined hands to block it, it was still like a mantis trying to stop a chariot. Coiling Dragon's physical strength was too terrifying. Du Jing, your unorthodox methods are inferior in the end. Put away your poisonous bugs and come to my side. Coiling Dragon's eyes and ears were alert. After forcing his opponents back with one blow, he saw that Chen Hao, who was only at the middle stage of the Earth Celestial Stage, was evenly matched with the 4 wild dragons at the Heaven Celestial Stage. Chen Ling and Li Yang were fighting Hu Meinyang together and had the upper hand. Only Du Jing was in danger. If it weren't for the poisonous insects distracting him, Du Jing would have been cut into pieces. Okay. Although Du Jing didn't agree with Coiling Dragon, he wouldn't joke with his life. Hu Meinyang's face was solemn. Even she didn't expect Chen Ling and Li Yang to be so strong. If her Red Dust Heart Sutra hadn't reached the Heaven Celestial Stage and had the effect of complementing one's soul and will, she wouldn't be able to compete with them. Their attacks were completely beyond her understanding. On the surface, their attacks couldn't hurt her at all. However, their attacks contained unparalleled soul suppression and attack, making it impossible for her to use her full strength. Little brother, Meinyang has no enmity with you. Even you want to fight Meinyang? Ah. Even the big guy is useless. Do you think I, Li Yang, am easy to bully? In front of Ling, you're just a stinky bitch. Chi. Li Yang's eyes suddenly blossomed with a light that was even brighter than the sun. His young and tender face was calm as he spoke disdainfully. Almost at the same time, Hu Meinyang suddenly covered her eyes and let out a scream. It had to be said that Hu Meinyang had shot herself in the foot. She was obsessed. Seeing that she was at a disadvantage, she wanted to use the Red Dust Heart Sutra to seduce Li Yang. Li Yang was born and nurtured by the earth. His spiritual altar was pure and flawless. He had never experienced any worldly experiences. The only thing he had was Chen Hao's memories. However, those weren't his own experiences and wouldn't affect him at all. Of course, the most important thing was that Li Yang was an extreme Dao inheritor who specialized in soul cultivation. Any seduction technique would be greatly reduced. His soul power was definitely much stronger than Hu Meinyang's innate Taoist embryo. How could he be seduced? Chapter 750. It was just like how Li Yang said that he couldn't defeat Chen Hao, because he couldn't suppress his opponent on the spiritual altar. Therefore, he had to rely on his true combat strength. Hu Meinyang's true combat strength was beyond imagination. If it weren't for the suppression of the spiritual altar and the soul attack, Li Yang and Chen Ling wouldn't be a match for Hu Meinyang even if they joined forces. Hu Meinyang's horrified scream shocked countless people. They were even more shocked by Li Yang and Chen Ling's terrifying strength. Chen Hao, who was in the middle of the battle, twitched the corner of his mouth. It wasn't Hu Meinyang's scream but Li Yang's words. Stinky bitch. What an affectionate word. Perhaps only Chen Ling and Li Yang, who had obtained Chen Hao's memories, could say that. She was such a pure child, but now it seemed like, awesome brother. No wonder Master told me to follow senior brother. This soul attack is really powerful. Pan Long said with admiration. Although he hadn't fought with Hu Meinyang, he knew that it wouldn't be easy to defeat her just from her aura. It's just SOSO, Li Yang said with a smile. As he spoke, he and Chun-Ling charged toward Hu Meinyang again like lightning. 4 wild dragons, what are you waiting for? Hu Meinyang's soul felt like it was being pricked by needles, but it also completely ignited her pride. The innate Taoist embryo resonated with the Tao, and its strength was fully displayed. Every movement seemed to follow the rhythm of the great Tao. Instead of fighting Chun-Ling and Li Yang head-on, she chose to move around. If I could, would I need you to tell me? Fuck. Wanlong said angrily. Facing Chun Hao's berserk attacks that were overflowing with killing intent, the heavenly dragon domain of the 4 had lost its effect. Chun Hao's every spear strike pierced their weak spots. If they wanted to truly combine the 4 symbols, there was simply no chance at all. Ah! Puff! Boom! A shrill and horrified scream rang out. The wild coiling dragon finally used his powerful and violent physical strength to chop an expert at the heaven celestial stage, who couldn't retreat in time, into 2 halves with his axe. Then his energy exploded and turned into a cloud of blood mist. His soul was destroyed. Miss Hu, I'm sorry. The cultivators who had long vomited blood felt the true fear of death at this moment. They had no choice but to retreat frantically. No matter how beautiful a woman was, she still needed to be alive to enjoy her beauty. If she lost her life, everything would be empty. Although he had been bewitched, he had not truly lost his heart. When faced with death, there was no suspense as to what choice he would make. My apologies, Miss Hu. Coiling dragon is too strong. With one person retreating, the other cultivators who were being pressured by the coiling dragon didn't dare to hesitate any longer. They all shot out, afraid that they would be locked onto by the coiling dragon if they were too slow. Puff puff, that was indeed the case. In the end, the 2 heaven celestial stage experts who stood out foolishly to resist the coiling dragon's attack were once again smashed into meat paste by the coiling dragon, and their blood dyed the sky red. Big brother, it's too late. Let's retreat for now. Wan Tung, the leader of the 4 mad dragons, didn't dare to hesitate when he saw this scene. Once Pan Long and Du Jing were free, it would be time for them to meet up with Chun Hao and the others to kill them. If they were any later, it would not be so easy for them to escape. Madman Chun Hao and Barbarian Coiling Dragon didn't care about their identities at all. Humph. Little brat, just wait and see. Once the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing are broken, it will be the time of your death. We, the 4 mad dragons, will never let you go. Let's go. Rumble. Wanlong shouted loudly. The 4 of them launched their most powerful attacks at the same time. After blocking Chun Hao, they shot out explosively into the distance without even stopping. At the same time, Hu Meinyang turned into a strand of light and soared into the sky. Her voice came from afar. Chun Hao, Coiling Dragon, all of you will die. Just wait and see. The battle ended instantly. Chun Hao was helpless, but there was nothing he could do. With the strength of the 5 of them, it was already a miracle that they could completely suppress dozens of experts. Among the 5 of them, only Du Jing was at the heaven celestial stage, and he was the weakest among them. Chun Hao was only at the peak of the medium stage of the earth celestial stage. Coiling Dragon, Chun Ling, and Li Yang were at the peak stage of the earth celestial stage. Their opponents were all heaven celestials, especially powerful existences like Hu Meinyang and the 4 mad dragons. It was beyond Chun Hao's expectation that they could be forced to retreat. Originally, Chun Hao was escaping toward his side. Damn it! Those who don't dare to come are cowards. Today, I'll kill you until you run away like rats. Then I'll take your lives. Coiling Dragon shouted angrily. Big brother, I'm sorry. That stinky bitch is really powerful. We couldn't kill her for you. But she's a heaven celestial. When Ling Er and I become heaven celestials, we'll kill her like killing a chicken. Haha. Senior brother, you know how to use big brother's vocabulary. She's the Holy Virgin of the Misty Rain Tower. She's not a chicken. She's just a bit more advanced. You two don't learn the good things, but learn the bad things quickly. Chun Hao looked at Chun Ling and Li Yang and said speechlessly, Little brother, little sister, what's your name? I'm Coiling Dragon. Coiling Dragon as in crouching tiger. Coiling Dragon bent over and said with a flattering smile, Big guy, are you very big? Don't pretend to be a boss in front of us. I'm Chen Ling, Chen Hao as in Chen Hao's sister, Ling as in Chen Ling. This is my senior brother, and also my cultivation partner Li Yang. Let me introduce a few people to you. After Chen Hao finished speaking, he smiled and looked at the few people who were walking toward them. Chen Shui, Long Ting, the two sisters Fan Dongxing, Fan Donglu, Yun Wei, and Han Mei. Other than Han Mei immortal venerable, everyone's expression was not very good. They looked at Chen Hao with eyes full of self-blame. Wow. Sister-in-law Chen Shui, sister-in-law Long Ting, sister-in-law Huan Huan, sister-in-law Lei Lei, Fan Dongxing, Fan Donglu. Master Yun Wei, Master Han Mei. Hee hee. Chen Ling immediately became as cheerful as a little bird, greeting the few of them with familiarity, and holding on to the arm of Chen Shui who was in front. On the other hand, Chen Shui and the others were surprised. Of course, if they knew that Chen Ling had already obtained Chen Hao's memory, they would not think so. Come, let's go in and talk, Chen Hao said with a smile. How, I'm sorry. Brother Hao, I'm sorry. Brother Hao. Brother, I'm sorry. However, after stepping into the core palace and closing the door, Chen Shui and the others stared at Chen Hao with guilt. Even Yun Wei was the same. What are you sorry for? That you didn't rush out to help? Didn't you see that they were all in the heaven's celestial stage? It's best that you didn't come out. How can I blame you? I forced them to do it. It's my fault. Moreover, how can Hao blame you? Han Mei said calmly. Yes, Hao won't blame us. We know. We also know that not coming out is the biggest help. But Hao were your cultivation partners. Your cultivation partners. But we don't even have the qualifications to fight side by side with you. If they didn't appear. Chen Shui's delicate body trembled slightly, and her beautiful eyes were filled with tears. She lost control of her emotions and said. Chapter 751. Chen Shui was the calmest among them, but she was also the strongest. She rarely lost control of her emotions. But this time, she could no longer hold it in. She could only watch helplessly as her partner was surrounded by so many strong enemies. Her life was at stake, but she did not even have the qualifications to stand out. She would only be a burden. Who could she blame? She could only blame herself. She could only blame her cultivation for being too low and her combat strength for being too weak. Come, Xiao Shui. Don't say so much. Let me introduce you. This is Chen Ling and Li Yang. Chen Ling calls me Big Brother. And Li Yang is our brother-in-law. Both of them have immortal spirit bodies and have obtained the inheritance of the primal mystic realm. They specialize in soul cultivation and are very powerful. This is Coiling Dragon, a disciple of the Manhuang tribe, a hidden force in the vast universe galaxy. He also obtained the inheritance of the primal mystic realm. He is on the opposite end of the spectrum from Ling, and Brother Yang. He specializes in physical body cultivation. Coiling Dragon's inheritance is very powerful. I only obtained a little, but not only did my physical body improve, even my soul and willpower became much stronger. This is Du Jing. Like Coiling Dragon, no discord, no concord. He's also my brother, a true disciple of the Poison King Valley. Chen Hao grabbed Chen Shui's hand and introduced them directly. After that, Chen Hao introduced Senior Immortal Han Mei, Senior Immortal Yun Wei, and the others to Coiling Dragon and Du Jing. Then he let Chen Ling, Li Yang, Coiling Dragon, Du Jing, Senior Immortal Han Mei, Senior Immortal Yun Wei, Senior Immortal Yun Wei, Senior Immortal Dong Lu, Senior Immortal Yun Wei, 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 Senior Immortal Dong Lu, Senior Immortal Yun Wei, and of course in the eyes of others, Chen Hao wanted to have a close interaction with Chen Shui, Long Ting, and the sisters. How could the wise Chen Hao not see that Chen Shui and the others were stimulated? There was a reason why he emphasized introducing Chen Ling, Li Yang, and Coiling Dragon. All along, they had been used to Chen Hao's arrogance. However, the sudden appearance of Chen Ling, Li Yang, and Coiling Dragon who were not inferior to Chen Hao, had stimulated them. Innate spiritual intelligence nurtured by nature? Hundreds of ancient divine beast blood essences. When Chen Hao explained the situation of Chun Ling, Li Yang, and Pan Long in detail, the girls were shocked. After hearing Chen Hao's explanation of the two extreme great inheritances, everyone was even more shocked. That's why we're not bad at all. Walk your own path and cultivate your own Tao. The only difference was time. When you step into the heaven immortal stage, you might be even stronger than them. What's more, we haven't fused our yin and yang yet, right? You only know how to comfort us. Qin Shui said shyly. The beautiful sisters' faces were also slightly red, but they secretly looked at Chen Hao with joy in their eyes. The fusion of yin and yang. Only the thick-skinned Long Ting did not have any misgivings. She said, the spatial laws of the primitive mystic realm are too strong. The effects of the nirvana elixir also require a lot of time. We have been in the 9 seals of immortal sealing for such a long time, but we have not had any effect even once. Sister Ting, you can't wait any longer? If that's the case, I don't mind not using the effects of the nirvana pill. Chen Hao said. No way. Even if you don't want it, I still want it. After comforting the 4 girls, Chen Hao also stepped into the core of the palace and began to cultivate. Although the siege of Humengyang, the 4 wild dragons and many other heaven immortal experts had been resolved, Chen Hao knew that it was only temporary. Once the 9 seals of immortal sealing were broken, they would be able to recover their true strength of the heaven immortal stage. At that time they would definitely make a comeback. At that time, it would be the real crisis. Huff! Chi. A month later, the core palace suddenly shone with a dazzling and dense light. Senior brother got it? That's awesome, and I said I had hope. Pan Long scratched his huge head, and there was a hint of admiration in his wild eyes. Big brother is so awesome. Yeah, we still have a lot to go. Chun Ling and Li Yang also looked at Chen Hao, who was surrounded by dense qi, with a hint of admiration in their eyes. Du Jing took a deep breath, and there was a touch of excitement in his eyes. Compared to the others, he was originally just Chen Hao's sole slave. But now, the contract had been broken by Chen Hao. This made him feel grateful. He knew very well that if it were him, he would definitely not be so magnanimous, and would not be so open-minded. Fortunately, even though he knew that he was going to die, he still chose to fight side by side with Chen Hao because of his gratitude. Perhaps it was because of this that he could now become Chen Hao's brother. He said that in front of Chen Hao's closest people. At that time, he looked calm, but he was actually very excited. This was a feeling that he had never had before. And now, Chen Hao had obtained the inheritance of the core palace in just a month. This made him even more excited. He knew that he had made friends with a true monster. A monster that could look down on the entire vast universe galaxy. Big Brother is only at the medium stage of the Earth's celestial stage now. Du Jing clenched his fist and thought to himself. Almost. Chen Shui opened her bright eyes and looked at Chen Hao. Although she did not know how the others were doing, Chen Shui knew that Chen Hao was just one step ahead of her, and she was just one step away from comprehending. Besides Hao, I will not be worse than anyone else. When Daoyuo Jingxian was here, I could still become a real natural Taoist fetus. I will be stronger. Thinking of the terrifying strength that Humengyang had shown, Chen Shui was more confident. Have you comprehended it? So fast. Long Ting seemed to be sitting cross-legged, but at this time, she stretched and yawned. Whether she had comprehended it or not was a problem. A leopard could not change its spots. Long Ting, who was a lazy person, had already forgotten the pressure from before, and her mentality was surprisingly good. She had the charm of being unperturbed by favor and being as kind as water. This was her Tao, the Tao that she had cultivated since she was a child. Eat, sleep, dream, cultivate qi. Puff. Hiss. The moment the dense air dissipated, a stream of light suddenly appeared out of thin air in the core of the palace. An ancient sacred treasure sword that was blooming with bright light and pressure was inserted in front of Chen Hao, and at the same time, 3 milky white lights directly integrated into Chen Hao's forehead. It's still a low-grade one. Fortunately, it's the best of the low-grade. Chun Hao held the treasure sword in his hand and sensed its aura. Come, I have obtained the lost art. I will pass it to you. If you are suitable, you can practice it. If not, you can just look at it. Hiss! Suddenly, milky white light of memory escaped from Chun Hao's forehead and floated to everyone. Chun Hao was never stingy with the lost art inheritance. In fact, he did not care about it at all. The girls, Pan Donglu and Pan Dongsheng, were already used to it. Chun Ling and Liang also knew, but Pan Long and Du Jing were slightly moved. This was the lost art inheritance of the ancient universe. It was priceless in any sect in the vast universe galaxy. Even if this lost art was not very powerful, it still had great research value. But Chun Hao passed it to everyone directly. Come and pick, see what you need. This time we will go separately. Me Liang, Chun Ling, Pan Long, Du Jing. The 5 of us have to take advantage of this time to look around and hunt them down. Otherwise, when the 9 restrictions of Immortal Sealing are broken, we might be surrounded again. Yesterday she could have finished the 3rd watch, but at night, her daughter caught a serious cold and had a high fever. Her voice was hoarse and she could not speak. She went directly to the hospital and only returned home at 5 in the morning. The doctor said that it was quite scary. After the infusion last night, she had to undergo a nebulization every half an hour. When she could speak again, she was allowed to go home. Acute throat inflammation can cause suffocation. She also had to undergo a laryngeal surgery. Now she has to go for an infusion. How helpless. After the climax, she should have rushed through the transition period quickly. She came back early. There is still the 2nd watch at night. If not, don't wait. Sorry. Wuxian still does not have the habit of saving chapters. Chapter 752. Senior brother, what are you afraid of? I have a feeling that as long as the 9 restrictions of Immortal Sealing disappear, I can immediately step into the Heaven Celestial stage. If they come, we'll make them return in defeat. Maybe we can even save a few lives. Pan Long said, Big brother, when the time comes, senior brother and I should be able to directly trigger the heavenly punishment. The big guy is right, we just need to rest and wait. There's no need to look for them. Chun Ling said, Don't be too confident. Chun Hao shook his head and said, We can win this time because of the suppression of the 9 restrictions of Immortal Sealing. Once the 9 restrictions of Immortal Sealing disappear, the real powerful thing is the law of divine ability. I won't even be able to advance to the Heaven Celestial stage for the time being. The advantage of Pan Long's physical body will also be weakened a lot. Ling and Brother Yang, you rely on the spiritual platform attack. Humenyang shouldn't be weaker than you. Plus, they have so many Heaven Celestial stage experts. What are our chances of winning? If we wait for them to come, we'll only be surrounded by them. It's different if we take the initiative to attack. Even if the 9 restrictions of Immortal Sealing disappear, we can still retreat and attack. Okay, you don't have to be polite. My package is too big, take whatever you like. Hiss. Chun Hao activated his mind, and immediately took out several divine artifact swords. He directly floated to Chen Shui, Long Ting, the 2 sisters, his 2 masters, Fan Dongsheng and Fan Donglu. I've chosen these for you. As for the rest, you can choose whatever you like. Chun Hao said. Ahem. Senior brother. Yours is at least 1/3 of mine, right? What, you want to take it back after losing? You can only choose 1 divine artifact. Chun Hao said without giving him any face. Forget it, I have the Ares axe. I'm not interested in any divine weapons. Pan Long said, but his eyes were still staring at the packages that Chun Hao had opened. His eyes were shining. Obviously he was not tempted. These 2 swords are not bad. Senior brother, and I will take 1 each. Hee. Chun Ling quickly picked 2 divine artifact swords without hesitation. Wow, this package is full of spiritual fruits. Big brother, did you specially prepare them for me? Spirit fruit? I want it too. Long Ting didn't have the slightest interest in making a move. Anyway, it was Chun Hao's. Was there a difference between Chun Hao's and hers? However, when he heard Chun Ling mention spirit fruits, he immediately turned into a beam of light. Ah. Sister Long Ting, you glutton. All right, let's split. He who strikes first gains the advantage and he who strikes last suffers. Du Jing, you don't have to be polite. Yes, boss. It looked like a scramble, but in the end everyone only chose a few items that were truly suitable for them. Compared to Chen Hao's huge bag, this was less than 1/10 of it. That night, Chen Hao's group of 5 and Chen Shui's group of 8 all quietly left the core palace. After stepping out of the city, Chen Shui's group of 8 and Chen Hao's group of 5 went their separate ways and quietly headed towards the depths of the wilderness. For safety's sake, they naturally couldn't stay behind. A cornered dog will jump over a wall. If they really used Chen Shui's group to threaten Chen Hao, then it would really be dangerous. Miss Hu, it seems like they have already obtained the core palace's inheritance. What a fast speed. Maybe it's that Chen Hao. On a barren mountain that towered into the clouds 5,000 miles away from the city, Hu Mainyang, the 4 wild dragons, and more than 30 heavenly celestial experts gathered together after escaping. After sensing the mysterious fluctuations coming from the direction of the city, their expressions became serious. Conceal your aura and be careful. Since they have obtained the inheritance, it's very likely that they'll look for us near the city. I believe they'll definitely be able to predict that we won't give up just like that. Hu Mainyang gazed in the direction of the city and said softly, "Should we go further away?" "What are you afraid of? We're not their match for now, but there's no problem in running away. When the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing are broken, it'll be time for us to kill them. Humph, we the 4 wild dragons have never been so oppressed. Brother Wan, it would have been great if you could have used the real 4 symbols unite as one to trigger the heavenly punishment. Now we can't let our guard down. Chen Hao will be fine. After all, he's only at the medium stage of the Earth's celestial stage. Even if the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing disappear, he can only advance to the late stage of the Earth's celestial stage. It's impossible for him to advance to the heaven's celestial stage. However, it's hard to say if Pan Long and his cultivation partner can trigger the heavenly punishment and step into the heaven's celestial stage. It's really hard to say if we can do it. Yes, their combat strength is really terrifying. Once they step into the heaven's celestial stage, I'm afraid we won't have any advantage even if we have more people. Humph. The real strength of the 4 wild dragons is the law of the divine ability. Once the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing disappear, so what if they're heaven celestials? Without the suppression of the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing, we can kill heaven celestials at the Earth's celestial stage. At this moment, we're already heaven celestials. Pan Long's strength lies in his body. When he steps into the heaven celestial stage, the 4 of us will have no problem killing him. As for Chen Hao, you can easily deal with him. There's no need to fear him at all. Whether or not you can kill them depends on you, Miss Hu, Wan Long said arrogantly. After he finished speaking, he looked at Hu Mainyang, who was surrounded by the law of Tao and looked beautiful and enchanting. The 2 of them have strange origins. I've never heard of them before. In this battle, I found that the supreme techniques they used were dominated by their soul energy. It's a great pressure on my spirit and will. I can't unleash my true combat strength. However, when the law of the divine ability is fully restored, the advantage of my innate Taoist embryo will be even stronger. Even if I can't defeat them, they can't do anything to me. Hu Mainyang said confidently after pondering for a moment. That's good. He believed that it wouldn't be long before the core city disappeared. I just don't know if they'll run away in advance to avoid us. I don't think so. Hu Mainyang said. We just have to hide ourselves well. I'm afraid they'll come out and look for us now. Let's go back to the cave. With the protection of the seal and our cover, it's impossible for them to find us. Once the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing disappear, we can travel 5,000 miles in an instant. Voila! Voila! No one would have thought that 3 figures would be sitting cross-legged on a majestic mountain surrounded by immortal light in the core area of the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing. One of them seemed to be in the Milky Way of the 9 restrictions of celestial sealing. A boundless mysterious aura and a terrifying energy washed over her. The other 2 figures were also immersed in cultivation. Their auras were so powerful that even Chen Hao would be surprised if he saw them. Chi, chi, chi. Suddenly, the girl in the Milky Way of the 9 restrictions of celestial ceiling opened her eyes. Her eyes shone with an extremely dazzling light. Immediately after, she let out a delicate cry. She formed a seal with her hands and raised them to the sky. An extremely dazzling light shot out from between her eyebrows as if a heavenly gate had opened. In an instant, the Milky Way of the 9 restrictions of celestial ceiling surged and gathered between her eyebrows. She succeeded? Xiao Wu really succeeded. The other 2 girls stood up in pleasant surprise and looked at this incredible scene before them. Chapter 753. Time passed by minute. After more than 10 minutes, the 9th heaven Milky Way finally completely entered between Helian Wuxi's eyebrows. Success. Helian Wuxi murmured. It seemed that even she did not believe that she could do it, but she really did it. Boom. Helian Wuxi slowly got up. With a thought, her whole body emitted a bright light. Her long hair and clothes fluttered, and a majestic and terrifying pressure made the whole space tremble. Clang. The moonlight sword was unsheathed. With a wave of her hand, a full moon bloomed in the sky and whizzed out. Rumble. The mountains collapsed and the earth cracked, and the earth trembled. One by one, the mountains collapsed and turned into huge rocks and debris that filled the sky. Is this the power of the chaotic immortal light? Helian Wuxi stared at her most precious moonlight sword and murmured. The Moongate sword was originally an earth-grade spiritual weapon, but it was refined by Helian Wuxi as a natal magic weapon. After being refined by the chaotic immortal light, it had been upgraded to the spiritual treasure level. The spiritual treasure level was still not high, but in Helian Wuxi's hands, it was more precious than a divine weapon. And as a natal magic weapon, its power was even greater. So powerful. Xia Yuyu and Tantai Lian were shocked. They jumped to Helian Wuxi's side and said, "Little Wu, congratulations on obtaining the inheritance. Immortal reincarnation, immortal reincarnation. I had hopes of obtaining it. Now that I've returned, it's not a big deal to continue what I couldn't do back then. Little Lian, Yuyu, we've obtained the strongest inheritance in the core area. After so many years, they should be breaking through the 9 restrictions of celestial ceiling soon. We came from this direction. Hao Hao and the others came from the same teleportation point as us. If there are no accidents, they should enter from this direction. Why don't we go find them after we trigger the divine punishment?" Xia Yuyu said. Okay. After entering the heaven's celestial realm, my Phoenix inheritance will be further integrated. The strength of Phoenix and Phoenix will also have a qualitative change. At that time, it should be easier for them to sense him. Little Wu, do you need to stabilize? You obtained the strongest inheritance, and you obtained it the latest. No need. My realm has already reached the peak of the late stage, when I comprehended the inheritance. There won't be any problems. Then I'll go first. I was the first to obtain the inheritance. Xia Yuyu raised her head and looked at the endless void. Her clear and childlike eyes flashed with confidence. She was now many times stronger than before she had entered the 9 restrictions of immortal bestowment, the Holy Land for training. Boom. Following Xia Yuyu's words, her entire person's essence, qi, and spirit suddenly erupted, shooting straight into the sky. Chi 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 huff, huff, in an instant. The winds and clouds surged as heaven and earth shook. Like a hurricane with Xia Yuyu as the core, it crazily spread out in all directions. 1,000 li, 10,000 li, 100,000 li, 1,000,000 li. There was no suppression from the 9 immortal ceiling restrictions here. Be it the energy of heaven and earth or the Tao laws, they were the densest and most powerful place in this holy land. Even though they were both earth immortals and celestial immortals, heaven's punishment was destined to be 10 times or even 100 times more powerful than it was in vast universe galaxy. Yuyu's heavenly punishment is so strong. Helian Wuxi and Tantai Lian's expressions became serious. Yuyu, be careful. If you can't take it head-on, then don't. We were lucky enough to obtain powerful inheritances that are most suitable for us. We're already very strong. Tantai Lian said. Don't worry. Xia Yuyu's skin became as translucent as white jade. Yuyu obtained the crystal jade sovereign's inheritance. Her body has already been transformed into a jade crystal. Jade crystal, heaven's punishment, is the best way to refine it. At the highest level, as long as you activate your energy, your entire body will become like a jade crystal, sparkling and translucent. Now, Yuyu is still the most basic jade crystal, sparkling and translucent but not transparent. However, it should be fine to take it head-on, as long as your soul, state of mind, and willpower can withstand it. Helian Wuxia said softly. Over these years, her indestructible samsara inheritance memories kept awakening. She had a better understanding of the 9 immortal sealing restrictions, as well as the original universe of the primitive mystic realm. Hiss 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 hiss. Dark clouds billowed as endless lightning continued to converge. At this moment, heaven and earth turned completely dark. Only the lightning gathered and flashed. Kacha. Rumble. After gathering for more than 10 minutes, the first heaven's punishment descended. Xia Yuyu easily took it. As the heaven's punishment descended, cracks appeared on Xia Yuyu's translucent jade-like skin. When the last heaven's punishment descended, the cracks were all over but did not dissipate. She had successfully taken it head-on. When the heaven's punishment's energy returned Xia Yuyu to her peak state, her skin became even more translucent, as Helian Wuxia had said. Sky Immortal. I've finally become a Sky Immortal. Such powerful energy, Xia Yuyu said excitedly as she sensed the surging energy in her body. It's my turn. Chi. Rumble. Tantai Lian shouted as her body erupted like a volcano. Raging flames soared into the sky. Ga. Phoenixes flew in circles in the sky, forming a phoenix seal beside Tantai Lian. Little Phoenix, little Huang, you can't help me. Don't worry, Master Little Lian. We'll only use the aftermath of the heaven's punishment to refine ourselves. We won't disturb you. The heaven and earth trembled as it quickly spread to a distance of 1,000,000 miles. It was comparable to Xia Yuyu's before it stopped. The flames around Tantai Lian's body condensed into a 9-leaf immortal lotus. It was as if a lotus had been born, releasing a holy aura as if it was purifying the world. It was as if a phoenix had been reborn. The most powerful flame in the world, karmic fire. Yuyu, after Little Lian becomes a Sky Immortal, she should be able to condense the embryonic form of karmic fire. In the future, she can help us refine our bodies and purify our souls, burning away all the evil energy in the world. Helian Wuxia said. So powerful? Doesn't that mean all our inner demons can be removed? As long as we can withstand the pain of the karmic fire burning our bodies and refining our souls. Karmic fire is the most powerful flame in the world. It transcends the shackles and is closely related to fate, destiny, reincarnation, and other mysterious things. It can sever the bonds of the world, break fate, and break fate. It's the supreme ability of the most powerful sect in the universe, the Buddhist sect. Buddhist sect? Buddhism is also a type of cultivation. However, it's a shortcut that uses the power of faith from all things in the world as its foundation. The more power of faith one gathers, the stronger one's cultivation will be. It's similar to the way our vast universe galaxy gathers fate. However, it's more direct and clear. The vast universe galaxy is famous and gathers fate. The Buddhist sect enlightens the world and develops believers. Through the believer's faith, it gathers fate and transforms this faith into power. It's incomparably mysterious. This is an extremely heaven-defying thing. It's also because of this that the disciples of the Buddhist sect have to withstand the pain of the karmic fire burning their bodies and refining their souls. If they can withstand it, they'll advance further. If they can't, they'll die. Chapter 754. Thunder rumbled, and karmic fire filled the sky. Tantai Lian was in the 9-leaf lotus platform, enduring the terrifying thunder, but she still sat cross-legged with her hands forming a lotus seal. Her body was on the verge of collapse, but she didn't show any pain with her eyes closed. On the contrary, her expression became more and more serene, as if she had transcended to the world of bliss. Pain didn't affect her body, and she was pure and flawless, When the last bolt of thunder punishment disappeared, the boundless energy of the thunder punishment turned into a resplendent glow that enveloped Tantai Lian's body. Ethereal chanting could be heard from the void. It was like the sound of the great Tao. Success, Qi. Tantai Lian opened her eyes. With a thought, 2 colorless flames formed in her hands, and she shot them into the forehead of the phoenix, who had already hidden far away. Hiss. Boom! Seeing that Xia Yuyu and Tantai Lian had successfully advanced, Helian Wuxi couldn't wait to attack. Her essence, energy, and spirit suddenly bloomed, like a cold full moon, rushing into the sky. The power of reincarnation gushed out, and the chaotic immortal light bloomed. Heaven and earth shook, and with the speed of a mountain flood, the energy of heaven and earth roared and surged. 1,000 miles, 10,000 miles, 100,000 miles, 1,000,000 miles. When it reached Tantai Lian and Xia Yuyu's level, the shaking was still spreading. So strong, Xia Yuyu said with surprise. Just from the aura of the shaking, she could tell that Helian Wuxi's heavenly punishment was stronger than hers and Tantai Lian's. Little Wu obtained the strongest inheritance in this mystic realm, the primal chaos supreme's inheritance, and she absorbed the chaotic immortal light. She's definitely stronger than the 2 of us now that she's a sky immortal. Yes, she still has the energy of the endless cycle of reincarnation. I really don't know how strong she'll be. This time, we'll probably surpass Hao Hao, and little Wu will be even stronger, Xia Yuyu said with a smile on her picturesque face. Probably. But how long can we surpass them? The reason we can reach this level and have such strength is all because of little Wu's endless cycle of reincarnation. As for this place, Xiao Wu also said that it's the orthodoxy left behind by the thousands of mighty figures in the original universe before the universe collapsed. Once they come in, with Xiao Wu and us guiding them, they will definitely be able to snatch the strongest legacy suitable for them. When the time comes, we will fall behind again. I can already feel that the Sky Immortal realm is probably reaching my limit. My potential has been exhausted, said Tantai Lian. Amen, I also felt it, Xia Yuyu said. And this is because of his karmic luck. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't even have been able to step out of the eastern continent of the Wuji star. Today we're already among the top experts on the Wuji star, Tantai Lian said slowly. After obtaining the Buddhist inheritance, her understanding of the faintly discernible fate had deepened. It was just like the karma of Buddhism, the karma of good and evil. Crack! The terrifying lightning tribulation began to descend. Clang! The crisp sound of the sword suddenly rang out. Helian Wuxi held the moonlight sword in her hand, and her beautiful little face blossomed with incomparable determination. If a stranger saw this, they would definitely think that Helian Wuxi had given up on resisting the heavenly tribulation. However, Tantai Lian and Xia Yuyu, who were familiar with Helian Wuxi, knew that Helian Wuxi only wanted to borrow the power of the heavenly tribulation to refine the low-level moonlight sword. They were very clear about how important the moonlight sword was in Helian Wuxi's heart. Helian Wuxi could totally change to a more powerful sword as her natal magic treasure. After all, real natal magic treasures were usually refined when one was in the Sky Immortal realm. However, Helian Wuxi had chosen the moonlight sword early on. That was a gift from Chen Hao when he first left the secular world. She entrusted too many emotions to it. Cultivators had a long life. 100 years or 1,000 years might pass in one meditation. However, the real reflection of a cultivator was when they were young. Crack! Rumble streaks of heavenly tribulation descended. Helian Wuxi resisted the heavenly tribulation, while using the heavenly tribulation to refine the moonlight sword. This caused her to suffer even more pain. However, she had no intention of giving up. Cold as the moon, her extremely beautiful little face was filled with stubbornness. All kinds of spiritual illusions brought by the heavens' punishment appeared and disappeared in her mind. The past life, the present life, the endless cycle of reincarnation. The lonely darkness, the resplendent light. They floated up and down. She seemed to see and feel something. But other than this life and this life in the universe, everything else was vague and unclear. She seemed to see something, but she didn't see anything at all. Only Chen Hao's figure became her obsession. She didn't take the initiative to pursue and explore the fleeting reincarnation. Because she was afraid. Afraid that she would be drowned by all the reincarnation memories and become no longer herself. Therefore, the only thing she could do was to constantly imprint Chun Hao in her mind, engrave it in her heart, and implant it in her soul. She still wanted to be the current her. After the heavenly tribulation ended, the turbulence of heaven and earth disappeared. After Hellion Wuxia was nourished by the heavenly tribulation, the energy around her body didn't converge. Instead, it was activated even more crazily. She spat out mouthfuls of blood essence, and used her unparalleled divine thoughts and chaotic divine light to refine the moonlight sword that was cracked to the point of collapse. After a few hours, the moonlight sword once again bloomed with an even brighter light, a supreme-grade spiritual treasure. Faintly, it already had the aura of a divine weapon. Only then did Hellion Wuxia's beautiful little face reveal a bright smile. Let's go. We have obtained the inheritance, and also stepped into the heaven celestial stage. We can enter the area of the 9 restrictions. Yes. Chi. The 3 of them rose into the air and turned into 3 streaks of light, traveling thousands of miles in an instant. However, the 3 of them flew in circles and retreated from time to time, as if following a kind of rhythm. Hellion Wuxia always took the lead, while Tantai Lian and Xia Yu followed behind. They didn't dare to be distracted at all, and flew completely according to Hellion Wuxia's trajectory. Obviously, this core space was filled with endless protective arrays. Although it wasn't the law of space, it was like a world of sand. It was impossible for cultivators to advance quickly in it. They had to rely on continuous exploration to advance. The 9th restriction. In the wilderness. Chun Hao and the other 4 had been searching for 3 whole days. However, within thousands of miles of the city, they didn't find any trace of Hu Meinyang and the others. Senior brother, I think we should forget about it. Hu Meinyang has a Khanate Taoist embryo. If she really integrated into the law of heaven and earth, it would be enough to shield us from the heavenly tribulation. It's not very possible for us to find them. Maybe they really left? Senior brother and I have the perception of our spiritual altars. If they were nearby, we should be able to sense them. Chun Ling said. It's impossible for them to leave. That woman is determined to get the Tao manifestation immortal fruit core. The 4 wild dragons will also fight to the death with me. Once the 9 restrictions disappear, it will be the best time for them to deal with us. There's no reason for them to really escape. Chun Hao said. Chapter 755. Boss, let's not talk about the Tao manifestation immortal fruit. Look at your bag. When you fought with Brother Coiling Dragon, it was all exposed. After that, you killed so many experts from the foreign tribes, and even lost their spiritual treasures. I'm certain that although those heavenly immortals have something to do with Hu Meinyang, their main reason is because they covet your treasures. After all, Hu Meinyang did not bewitch them with her seduction technique. Therefore, none of them will really give up. Du Jing said confidently. Then what do you think we should do? It's not easy to find them. They won't appear until the 9 restrictions disappear. When they appear, we may not be able to defeat them. Chun Hao said. Senior brother, you're not thinking of avoiding them, are you? I don't care. Even if I can't become a sky immortal after the 9 restrictions disappear, I still have the power to fight. Escaping is not a problem. It's up to you. Chun Hao said. I have nothing to say. Kill them all. We'll go back to the city and wait for them to come. We'll kill as many as we can. Coiling Dragon said wildly. Previously, Coiling Dragon had been worried about killing so many top geniuses in vast universe galaxy. Now that the killing had begun, what was there to be worried about? Moreover, Coiling Dragon could feel that once the 9 restrictions disappeared, he could directly trigger the heavenly punishment and become a sky immortal. With the 9 restrictions gone, the power of my poison technique will increase a lot. I'll listen to you, boss. Du Jing was a ruthless and smart person. In the previous battle, there was no way out. It was either you die or I live. It would be better if they could finish it as soon as possible. Big brother, although I'm not very clear about the situation in vast universe galaxy, I think too much killing will eventually affect one's Tao heart. If you can convince people with virtue, it'll be better. Li Yang said. Tisich, senior brother, don't be funny. How can you convince people with virtue at a time like this? I don't care. Big brother, I support you. I believe that you can create another miracle. Big brother. Chun Ling waved her fists and looked at Chen Hao with excitement in her eyes. Clearly, Chen Hao's experience had deeply affected Chen Ling. Moreover, the quick-witted Chen Ling was able to determine what Chen Hao was thinking. Linger, I have the same thoughts as you. I just don't want Big Brother to be affected too deeply by the Chi of Slaughter. However, Big Brother's mind is still clear and untainted. It's not a big deal to kill a few more. It's really difficult to win people over with virtue, especially when dealing with those rascals. That requires absolute strength. Li Yang hurriedly said when he heard Chen Ling's words. Li Yang's temperament was much calmer. He could feel that Chen Hao's murderous aura was very, very heavy. Although it couldn't be seen normally, as long as Chen Hao wanted to kill, there would be a soul-shaking murderous aura spreading out. This was not a good thing for cultivators. Win people over with virtue. Little brother Yang, we haven't reached that level yet. The path of slaughter had already begun, and he could only kill to the end. I don't like being remembered. Let's go back to the city. All right. Hiss hiss hiss. The five of them turned into 5 streaks of light and flew back to the city at lightning speed. When they returned to the core palace, none of the cultivators who didn't know that Chen Hao and the others had left dared to open the door to the palace. Huff! The 5 of them separated in the palace and cultivated alone. Chen Hao sat down cross-legged and took out the soul-refining pills that Chen Ling and Li Yang had given him. With the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing gone, my combat strength is probably at its lowest. The only thing that can truly improve is my Chi of Slaughter. As long as my Chi of Slaughter is strong enough, and I can use a mental cultivation technique that can merge with all things in the world, I should be able to kill a few heavenly immortals. After swallowing 2 soul-refining pills in one go, Chen Hao immediately entered the state of soul refining. Chen Ling, Li Yang, Coiling Dragon, and Du Jing were all aware of how terrifying the upcoming battle would be. They were all immersed in the final sprint. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed. Hiss hiss hiss, in front of a city gate, a mysterious and dense fluctuation suddenly appeared, and then 3 figures appeared eerily. Huff! Is this the suppressive power of the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing? How magical! Fortunately, we've all comprehended it. Otherwise, we wouldn't even have 1,000th of our combat strength left. Xia Yuyu said in surprise after sensing the suppression of the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing. Previously, in the core area, Helian Wuxia had directly imprinted the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing from the reincarnation inheritance into Xia Yuyu and Tantai Lian's minds in order to obtain the inheritance. With the complete Tao law, the 2 of them only needed to comprehend it wholeheartedly. This saved them a lot of trouble compared to Chen Hao and the others. In this space, every mountain and every rock is formed by the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing. Comprehending it is one thing, suppressing it is another. Comprehending it completely is the foundation of obtaining the core area's inheritance. This is also the reason why cultivators who come and have to break through step by step are all the inheritances of the mighty figures in the core area. That's not necessarily true. There are still many mighty figures who choose to stay in the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing. If they're lucky enough, they'll definitely obtain it. Actually, the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing is only a relatively powerful sacred ground in the primitive mystic realm. Many cultivators who didn't come and might not have gained much. Xiaolian, do you sense it? No. Then let's go in and ask. The palaces in the city have the ability to block all auras. In fact, they were all condensed by ancient masters before they died. Before the universe collapsed, there were no cities here. Helian Wuxia said. As she spoke, she took the lead and walked toward the gate of the city. At this moment, the 3 of them had changed their appearances. However, they did not conceal their auras. What powerful auras! Heaven immortals, 3 of them. Why did they only come now? Is there a need to ask? If the 3 of them joined forces, they must have obtained the inheritance of the core palace of the city. Now they're here to snatch this city. Haha, there might be a good show. However, these 3 girls are very unfamiliar. With such powerful auras, shouldn't they be very famous? Do you know them? No. Have you heard of them? Even if we haven't seen famous people before, we've at least heard of them. These 3 are indeed unfamiliar. The moment Hellion Wuxia and the other 2 stepped into the city, the cultivators who were sitting cross-legged around them looked over and discussed in shock. Fellow cultivators, I'm sorry to disturb you. I wonder if you know Chen Hao? He's from Master Dong Lu. He looks. Xia Yuyu, who was the most outgoing of the 3, walked in front of the cultivators who were staring at them and asked with cupped fists. However, before she could describe Chen Hao's appearance, the strange expressions on their faces made Xia Yuyu stop. She asked, "Do you know him? Are you also here for the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit?" Miss, I advise you to give up on this idea. Although the auras of the 3 of you are very strong, you are definitely not a match for the god of slaughter Chen Hao. Chapter 756. Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Core? Killing God. We're not a match for Chen Hao. The cultivator's first sentence surprised the 3 women. They had long thought that it was impossible for Chen Hao to be unknown, but it shouldn't be that easy to inquire about Chen Hao. But now the first time they asked, they received such shocking news. Moreover, this cultivator's words contained a lot of information. Firstly, Chen Hao had obtained a precious treasure called the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit, and it had caused countless people to fight for it. However, no one had succeeded until now. Secondly, Chen Hao had definitely killed many experts. Otherwise it would be impossible for him to be given the nickname of God of Slaughter. Thirdly, and this was the most shocking to the 3 of them, it was because the cultivator said that the 3 of them weren't a match for Chen Hao. They were now in the heavenly immortal stage, and they didn't hide their auras. How could they not be a match for Chen Hao? Hellion Wuxia was very familiar with the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing. It was basically impossible to trigger heavenly punishment in the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing, and it was unlikely that there would be an expert in the heavenly immortal stage. Hee. It seems that the 3 of you haven't heard about what happened recently, right? The cultivator who spoke smiled and said rather enthusiastically. Not to mention the 3 beauties, just the powerful auras of the 3 of them made him say everything he knew. In the dangerous experience, this kind of expert couldn't be offended. Yes, we have indeed just entered the 9 restrictions city. Please tell us, fellow Taoist. More than a month ago, Misty Rain House's Saintess Hu Mainyang, Wan Clan's 4 wild dragons, and more than 30 heavenly immortal stage experts. How could there be so many heavenly immortal stage experts here? Xia Yuyu couldn't help but ask. Don't you know? Hearing Xia Yuyu's words, the cultivator asked in surprise. I'm sorry, the 3 of us have been training in the wilderness, so we're a little uninformed. Please enlighten us. Xia Yuyu said. I see. It seems that the 3 of you have a great opportunity. This cultivator originally thought that the 3 of them should have coincidentally advanced to the heavenly immortal stage when the 4 berserk dragons defied the heavens and attracted the heavenly punishment, causing Chen Hao to attract the heavenly punishment. But now, it seemed that the 3 of them had other fortuitous encounters, which shocked him. He looked at the 3 of them with even more respect and hurriedly explained Xia Yuyu's doubts. However, every time this cultivator spoke, Xia Yuyu would have doubts. She even asked about the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit, Hu Mainyang, the 4 berserk dragons, and the others. Moreover, when he talked about the conflict between Hu Mainyang, the 4 berserk dragons, and Chen Hao, the expressions on the faces of the 3 of them made the cultivator realize that the 3 of them were not looking for Chen Hao to snatch the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit, as they had thought, but were on the same side as Chen Hao. More than a month ago, in the city to our left, Hu Mainyang, the 4 berserk dragons, and more than 30 experts who had stepped into the heavenly immortal stage surrounded Chen Hao. Although Chen Hao, who was originally at the middle stage of the Earth Immortal stage, could contend against the heavenly immortal stage experts under the 9 immortal ceiling restrictions, he had no hope of escaping. But when the 4 berserk dragons used the heaven-defying 4 appearances to attract the heavenly immortal stage experts, Coiling Dragon of the Manhuang tribe suddenly appeared and called Chen Hao senior brother. There were also 2 very young and mysterious experts, who were said to be Chen Hao's younger sister and brother-in-law, who appeared with Coiling Dragon. In addition, for some reason, Du Jing of the Poison King Valley, who was very close to Chen Hao, the 5 of them joined forces and actually repelled Hu Meinyang, the 4 berserk dragons, and more than 30 heavenly immortal stage experts, killing several heavenly immortal stage experts. Chen Hao is evenly matched with the 4 wild dragons who have stepped into the heaven celestial stage. The young couple is suppressing Hu Meinyang, and the Coiling Dragon of the Manhuang tribe is killing those heaven celestial stage experts with his tyrannical physical strength. That battle can be said to be earth-shattering. However, according to our speculations, Hu Meinyang, the 4 wild dragons, and the others will not really give up. Once they break through the suppression of the 9 seals of celestial immortality, they will recover to the real heaven celestial stage. At that time, they will attack Chen Hao and the others again. Chen Hao and the others are still in the core palace of that city. There are countless cultivators gathered in that city right now. If it weren't for the appearance of our enemies, we definitely wouldn't have left. Oh, that's right. Ladies, if I may ask, you 3 should be friends of Chen Hao, right? This cultivator observed their expressions and confirmed that the 3 of them had a close relationship with Chen Hao. Therefore, after thinking of a very possible matter, he asked, "You can say so. Thank you, fellow cultivators." Xia Yuyu cupped her fists and said, looking very anxious to leave, "Let's go." Helian Wuxi's eyes shone with a cold light as she said, Tantai Lian's aura also surged slightly. "Wait a moment. We happen to see some things on our way here. Perhaps, you might be able to learn more about them. If they are Chen Hao's enemies, we won't say anything. However, if they are his friends, I believe that they might be of use to you." "Ah, thank you very much." "You are welcome. Do you know Chen Hao's partners Chen Xiaobai, Long Ting, and the sisters?" "Of course we know them. What happened to them?" "When we left that city, we happened to see a few people. Although they changed their appearance and aura, we guessed that it should be them. They are in this city. You should be able to find them if you go and look for them. Their strength is also very strong, but they are still unable to fight against heaven immortals. I think Chen Hao must have asked them to leave so that they would not be affected by the battle." Xia Yuyu once again expressed her thanks and warned the other party not to divulge any information about them. She then quickly walked into the city, her powerful perception extending outwards. God of Slaughter Chen Hao is really strong. Yes. 1 Pan Long, 2 mysterious partners and 1 Du Jing. The auras of these 3 girls are also very strong. Moreover, they have other opportunities to step into heaven immortal. Perhaps they are even stronger than we thought. That's for sure. Didn't they sense the fluctuations in their auras when the captain mentioned that Chen Hao was being attacked? I feel that they could kill us in seconds. Well, it's a pity that those bastards from the Lan Hai sect also went over. Otherwise, we would also be able to see a real peak duel. Let's not discuss this matter, and we can't leak any information. I have a feeling that the God of Slaughter is an ambitious and ruthless person. He is only at the medium stage of Earth Immortal, but he can fight against the 4 wild dragons who have stepped into Heaven Immortal. If he is given time to step into Heaven Immortal, I am afraid that he will become an invincible Heaven Immortal. Understood. If it is unfavorable to the God of Slaughter, we will naturally not say anything. After Helian Wuxi and the other 2 left, several cultivators whispered to each other. When they first heard Xia Yuyu's question, the reason why they warned the 3 of them not to provoke the God of Slaughter was not entirely for the 3 of them. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.